that all participants and committees who are here today have been fully vaccinated and also been tested negative for COVID-19. We are fully sure that we comply to the procedure and also health protocols of the COVID-19. And ladies and gentlemen, before we begin our session for today, we will together enjoy a show of contemporary dance with a theme and title Merajut Nusantara, which will be presented by Incom Creative. As we all know, ladies and gentlemen, Indonesia has a wide variety of tribes, and we live harmoniously together side by side. And depicting from this dance, we can see how Indonesia is a very beautiful and diverse country, and that we should respect each other, love each other, and also maintain a peaceful life amongst one another. And even though we come from different tribes or skin colors, we are still one Indonesia. And hopefully, after watching this dance together, ladies and gentlemen, Merajut Nusantara, it can remind us and also revive our senses once again of being Indonesian and that Indonesia is diverse. Bhinneka Tunggal Ika, or unity in diversity. And without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for Merajut Nusantara from Incom Creative. Once again, ladies and gentlemen, please give a round of applause for our Income Creative. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we will shortly begin the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum, Geomaritime, Chasing the Future of Global Stability discussion session. And now we have arrived at our second day. And in this forum, ladies and gentlemen, we discuss and also explore the strength of the security game, as well as the strength of the global economy in the ongoing hegemonic transition that will have an impact in the visibility of changes in the international order. Maritime, ladies and gentlemen, will become the dominant area of competition with challenging dynamics to be reckoned with. And the challenge of maintaining the status quo and a revisionist revival will arise when the use of force in maritime power will include the struggle for resources and technology for power, and defeating multipolar forces is inevitable, which causes hegemony to be unable to build a global stability. And now, at our second day, ladies and gentlemen, which is also the last day of our forum, we will be having our third discussion session, which will be discussing the theme, Advancing Maritime Technology in Geostrategic Context. And today we'll be having 5 speakers who are ready to give us their insights and also knowledge with us today. And we will start the session in just a moment, ladies and gentlemen. And we would like to also remind you that once again, the discussion will be delivered in English, but you may use the interpreter feature that is available on your screen at the toolbar, which is located at the bottom of your screen for those of you who are joining us virtually. And for those of you who are here at the ground studio of Metro TV, you may once again, I would like to remind you that the headsets on the table, you may use them to listen to the interpretation feature from English to Bahasa Indonesia. And for those of you who are joining us virtually, once again, you may click the Bahasa button in the interpretation feature available. You may listen and you may hear the discussion session in Bahasa Indonesia, but with English at a lower audio level. And ladies and gentlemen, we are now ready to begin our discussion session. And for this discussion session, we'll be led by our moderator, Ambassador Professor Dr. Ikrar Nusa Bakti, the Professor for Political Research at the National Research and Innovation Agency. But before I invite Professor Dr. Ikrar Nusa Bakti, please do allow me to read a short profile of Professor Dr. Ikrar Nusa Bakti. Professor Ikrar has 33 years of experience being a lecturer, a political researcher, and author at various newspapers, as a political observer, and also served as Indonesia's ambassador to Tunisia for 4.5 years. He earned the title of research professor in the field of intermestic affairs of the Indonesian Institute of Sciences, or LIPI, on December 29, 2006, with inaugural address entitled Knitting the Nets of Indonesia-Australia Security Cooperation. Professor Ikrar has a vast experience as speaker at many national and also international conferences and seminars, and has been awarded from the 2012 Australian Alumni Award on Sustainable Economic and Social Development, which was presented by the Australian Ambassador to Indonesia, His Excellency Greg Moriarty. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Professor Dr. Ikrar Nusa Bakti.
Thank you, Sarawine. Good morning and welcome to our third sessions, Advancing Maritime Technology in Geostrategic Context, in the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum, Geomaritime, Chasing the Future of Global Stability, with me, Ikrar Nusa Bakti. Ladies and gentlemen, technology evolutions in maritime domain brings a new perspective about opportunities and threats. The speak of technological maritime leapfrog by China in most recent years have raised concerns in the US over the implication of overall economic competitiveness. And now we have very prominent speakers from Indonesia and abroad joining us. Please welcome on stage. The first speaker is Professor Dr. Insinyur Dadan Daihani, DEA, professional expert on Natural Resources and National Resilience at the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia. Please, Prof. Dadang. So, Prof. Dadan is a senior expert on the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia, or Lemhanas, and a professor at Trisakti University. He is currently the senior analyst at the Resilience Laboratory and also former head of Trisakti International Business School. Dr. Dadan Omar Daihani was fully involved in creating and building this system and carried out analysis and formulated recommendations to increase Indonesia's national resilience. Welcome, President. And the first speaker is also my colleague, Alan Dupont, PhD, who just arrived last night from Sydney. He is a CEO of the geopolitical risk consultancy, the Cognoscenti. He is the founder and CEO of the Cognoscenti Group. He is also the Defense and National Security Advocate for Australia's Northern Territory. He has held many advisory and board positions in governments and corporate sector. He is a non-resident senior fellow at the Atlantic Council in Washington and the Lowy Institute in Sydney, and is contributing national security editor for the national newspaper in Australia, The Australian. In 2013 and 2014, he established and led the Australian government's defense white paper team. Please, Dr. Dupont. And the second speaker is Professor Dr. Tirta Nugraheni Mursitama, PhD. Why I call him Doctor and PhD? Because he has two doctoral degrees from Japan, and the other one is from Pajajaran University. He is the Vice Rector of Bina Nusantara University. His master's degree and doctorate were funded by the Japan International Cooperation Agency, or JICA. He received professorship from Venus University in 2015. He also received his second doctorate from Pajajaran University in 2016, and partnering with Associate Professor Pierre van der Eng. He conducted research on the internationalization of corporate Indonesia and its impact on the economic relationship between Australia and Indonesia. Please, Dr. Tita. And the fourth speaker will be Raden Mas Wibawanto Nugroho Widodo, PhD, MA World College Diploma from NDU, and also PhD, and he is the Deputy Head of the Defense and Security ICAL Strategic Center. He is a Deputy Head of the National Defense and Security Affairs at the RI National Resilience Institute Alumni Associations, or ICAL Strategic Center. He is currently the Assistant Professor of International Politics at the Universitas Pelita Harapan and International Programs at the Democracy and Integrity for Peace Institute, and President Commissioner at PT Indo-Para Sista Semesta. Please, Dr. Wibawanto. And The other speakers will join us virtually. Mr. Ryan Haas, Senior Fellow at the Michael H. Armakos Chair in the Foreign Policy Program at Brookings Institute. Hello, good morning.
Hello.
So in Washington, it's still at night or in the afternoon? What time is in
It's
Washington?
evening. It's evening in Washington, but selamat pagi.
Selamat pagi. So, Mr. Ryan Haas is a Senior Fellow and the Michael Armakos Chair in the Foreign Policy Program at Brookings Institute, where he holds a joint appointment to the John L. Thornton China Center and the Center for East Asia Policy Studies. He was part of the inaugural class of David Rubenstein Fellows at Brookings and is the non-resident affiliated fellow in the Paul Tsai China Center at Yale Law Institute, has focused his research and analysis on enhancing policy development on the pressing political, economic, and security challenges facing the United States in East Asia. So welcome, Mr. Ryan Haas. And now let's start presentation session from our speakers. But before that, I will talk to Dr. Alan Dupont. He is actually my old colleague from Australia, and I already read so many books and also papers by him, because he is the author of almost 100 books and also papers, and also papers in the journal, papers in the symposiums, and also many articles in the Australian newspaper. So I think you are still jet lagged, Alan, because you just arrived now. Even though, I mean, he wears the batik, but for him, Jakarta is still hot because Australia is winter right now. So welcome to Jakarta, Alan. Yeah. And Professor Dadan, also a friend of mine, very old friend of mine. So we know exactly in 1998 demonstrations. So I mean, we are a lecturer from University of Indonesia and also lecturer from the Bandung Institute of Technology, joined together to, to help the students at the times in the demonstrations, before the fall of the President Suharto. So welcome, Dr. Dadan. And Dr. Tita is also my young colleague from University of Indonesia, but now he is the Vice Rector of the Venus University. So welcome. Thank you. And Professor Dr. Wibamanto, to be honest, this is the first time for me to know you, but so I mean, you are already familiar with Lemhanas, because you are the active member of ICAL. So I do believe that these presenters, or the speakers, will give us the very good information and also very challenging analysis, about the maritime security issues in Asia Pacific, because most of them are actually expert on technology and how the technology related to the maritime security in this area. So let's start presentation session from our speakers. The first presentation will be from Mr. Ryan Haas. Mr. Ryan Haas.
Yes, hello.
So you are in Washington, or are you in Washington?
Yes, I'm in Washington.
Oh, yes.
Yes, I'm in Washington.
Yes, but it's still not hot in Washington because this is July, still summer in Washington.
That's right.
Okay, please, Mr. Ryan Haas, yeah, you will talk about a very important and interesting, I think, speech about the relation between economic and also maritime security. Yeah.
Well, Ambassador Bhakti, thank you for your kind introduction, and thank you also to the organizers of the Jakarta Geopolitical Forum for this opportunity to speak and to appear alongside such a distinguished group of panelists. I'm going to provide a perspective from Washington, D.C., because that's where I am. And I trust that my other colleagues on the panel will provide their own viewpoints as well, and that together we will be able to have a very rich discussion. My utmost goal is to try to surface a few ideas for how we might be able to lower risk and create space for common efforts to address regional and global challenges. If it's possible to use the PowerPoint presentation, I'd be delighted to, but if not, I can speak without it. My general sense is that we can go to the next slide. We are entering a period of significant geopolitical stress, arguably as large as any moment since the end of World War II. The international system is facing pandemics, a climate crisis, mounting debt challenges in many parts of the world, a global economic recession, food and energy insecurity, and all of these challenges are being exacerbated by intensifying competition between major powers. There is actual shooting taking place in Ukraine, sadly today, but in the Asia Pacific, there is also a competition that's well underway for strategic advantage, and that competition is intensifying. It has led my Brookings colleague, Bruce Jones, to describe the Western Pacific today as what East Germany was during the Cold War, the new fault line of geopolitical tensions. And this new fault line raises two proximate risks for all of us. The first is that it increases risk of confrontation and possibly conflict. But the second is that it limits space for major powers to lead collective efforts to address systemic challenges. Next slide. My sense is that maritime rivalry is likely to intensify in the coming years, and I'll offer 5 reasons why I think that's the case. The first is that for the first time since the 1500s, China is investing significantly in becoming a global naval power. And China is making rapid gains. Its investments are bearing fruit. And as China becomes stronger, I think that they likely will grow more risk acceptant in using maritime power to seek to achieve their strategic objectives. And at a minimum, I think it's safe to say that China would like to assert control over territory it claims in the South China Sea, the East China Sea, and Taiwan. And this is going to place significant stress on stability in the Asia Pacific. The second reason why I think that, that maritime rivalry will intensify is that China's efforts along these lines will be aided by the introduction of new technologies. There will be increasing usage of unmanned platforms, of autonomous weapon systems, of sensor technology, and all of these new developments will amplify China's maritime strengths. Third, I expect that China will almost certainly seek to establish a string of naval bases to protect its sea lines of communication. As the former naval strategist Mehan earlier theorized, it is a requirement for a naval power to establish a string of bases to protect its sea lines of communication. China relies heavily upon fuel and food transiting through the Middle East, the Indian Ocean, the South China Sea. I expect that they will want to strengthen their capacity to protect those sea lines of communication. Fourth, it's clear that China and Russia are looking for ways to deepen their coordination and their naval presence, not just in Asia, but around the world. And this will add to the sense of rivalry. And at the same time, the United States and its partners are not standing idly by as all these developments take place. They're also developing their own capabilities to seek to counter China's naval buildup and to frustrate its ability to use or threaten force to achieve its strategic objectives. So the upshot is that there is a bit of a naval arms race underway in Asia right now. It does not just involve the United States and China, but it also involves many other actors, whether it's Australia, the United Kingdom, Japan, India. Many other countries are building up rapidly their naval capacity to meet this moment that we find ourselves in. Next slide. So given these parallel trends of both rising risks, but also rising stress in the international system, the question that I think confronts us is how can Asian actors limit risk and claw open space for coordination on common challenges? I don't think that there's any silver bullet solution to this problem. There's no near-term fix. But if a critical mass of countries pursue efforts to dampen risk of conflict and expand space for coordination, I think that it is possible for us to make progress. And I see four main lines of effort for us to do this. The first is to build consensus around international law. The second is to work on developing codes of conduct for operational behavior. The third is to work on developing more of a common operating picture for developments in the maritime domain. And also, alongside that, developing habits of cooperation as opportunities arise. And then lastly, I think it's important for genuine relationships to develop among key officials through the use of existing dialogue mechanisms, which maybe could be organized for greater effect. Next slide. So the first line of effort that I have put forward is to strengthen support for international law, particularly the United Nations UNCLOS. The United States, unfortunately, as an American, I have to say, we're not going to lead. We have not ratified UNCLOS, and we have no authority to exercise leadership in the space. So leadership is going to have to come from other states that have ratified the treaty and that have demonstrated a pattern of adherence to it. And I think it's important for there to be greater sort of convergence and consensus around key elements, such as the use of the arbitral tribunal for adjudication of disputes, and greater consensus around what navigational rights are available in other countries' exclusive economic zones and territorial seas. These efforts to forge a greater consensus by regional parties would help undergird support for the principles of freedom of navigation. And they would also help, I think, lessen the risk that issues around freedom of navigation will become subsumed and compartmented as an element of intensifying US-China rivalry. Next slide. The second main line of effort that I would put in front of you is to really intensify efforts to build codes of conduct for operational behavior and operational safety. I think in recent years, the region has made important progress in developing codes of conduct. For example, the Western Pacific Naval Symposium has developed the Code for Unplanned Encounters at Sea, CUES. There has been a Malacca Strait Security Initiative. The United States and China have developed rules of behavior for encounters at sea and in the air. So there's steps that have been taken that can be built upon. And I hope that the region is able to build on these steps. But unfortunately, I'm not optimistic that progress is going to come from either the United States or China. Both the United States and China disagree on the sources of tension, and neither country, I'm afraid, appears to be in any mood to make progress at the moment in lowering risks. And so where can the rest of the region drive progress? I would suggest three areas. The first would be to clarify what is meant by safe operational distances in different scenarios in which ships encounter each other at sea. What is unsafe behavior? I think the Western Pacific Naval Symposium is a good place for countries to tackle this challenge, and I hope they do so. A second area would be, what are rules of behavior for military aircraft encounters? There is no established normative rule around this, but to lower risk, I think it'll be important for us to establish certain expectations. And then third, what are appropriate uses and limits on uses of autonomous weapon systems. As more of these systems are deployed, I think it'll become increasingly urgent that there be some development of normative behavior around the limits of these uses. And I think that the 1972 Incidents at Sea Agreement hopefully could offer a certain degree of inspiration and precedent for this type of effort. Next slide, please. The third line of effort that I would propose is on developing a more integrated common operating picture of what's going on in the maritime space in the Asia Pacific. I think that the Information Fusion Center in Singapore has done a noble and valuable job of expanding the common operating picture. It has raised risk to pirates and to others who would seek to disrupt lawful maritime activity in the region. But I think it also would be useful as a region for us to explore ways to harness this expanding maritime technology to address other challenges, whether it be in the form of illegal IUU fishing, unregulated and unreported fishing, or on transparency around natural resource exploration and exploitation in contested areas. The more transparent countries' behaviors are in seabed and other exploration and exploitation, I think the higher the threshold will be for countries to act unilaterally in these areas in ways that could lead to escalation. But I also hope that it's possible for us collectively to seize opportunities from crises, to forge habits of coordination when we respond to incidents and events, such as we did after the 2004 tsunami and the 2011 triple crisis in Japan. Humanitarian assistance and disaster relief often are accessible areas for countries to come together in common pursuit. Next slide, please. The fourth and final line of effort that I would suggest that we consider is on maximizing the usefulness of existing dialogue mechanisms. I think that many of you in the room recognize that there is an abundance of maritime dialogue mechanisms in Asia, but it's unclear how well coordinated they all are with each other, and whether they are sequenced and timed in ways that generate momentum and cumulative progress across the various dialogue mechanisms. And so there may be value in having a group of former officials come together to look at the dialogue architecture, to determine if the annual cycle of meetings could be organized in a different or more effective way to achieve greater progress in ways that allow the dialogues to build upon each other as they proceed throughout the year. Next. And so this is the final thought that I would just like to leave with and turn it back to Ambassador Bhakti and the panel. I think that there are a range of structural factors that are going to cause the Asian maritime domain to grow more contested, more tense in the coming years. I think it's safe to predict that great power competition is going to intensify, and that the stresses that we all feel in the international system are not going to abate anytime soon. And so this should provide a certain degree of incentive and urgency for countries in Asia to exercise agency to find ways to dampen risk of conflict and to expand space for coordination on shared challenges. If we don't, I worry that the long peace in Asia over the past 4 or 5 decades will come under growing threat. So I think that there are a few lines of effort that are available for us to make progress around building greater consensus around international law, codes of conduct, a better common operating picture, and in harmonization of dialogue mechanisms to achieve progress. But above all, thank you for this opportunity to share ideas. I look forward to the presentations from our panelists and the discussion that will follow. Thank you.
You have very nice presentations and very important presentations. So actually, Mr. Ryan has mentioned to us that actually, I mean, the maritimes in Asia Pacific is very important, yeah, and there are conflicts among the big powers in the, not superpowers, but big powers in the Asia Pacific, yeah, and there are no signs that major power competitions is in maritime Asia will abate anytime soon. Regional actors must improve their ability to manage incidents and lower risk of conflicts, yeah, in Asia Pacific, yeah. And he offered there are steps available to reduce risk, yeah. This includes forging greater commonality of the interpretations around relevant international law, and the second is broadening codes of conduct for operational behaviors, and the third is expanding practical cooperations in the maritime domain, and the last is organizing existing regional dialogues thoughtfully to spur practical progress on maritime security, in particular in the Asia Pacific. So maybe, I mean, there will be a lot of questions to you, yeah, in particular related to the role of ASEAN, yeah, as the regional organization in Southeast Asia, who also, I mean, have they have the so-called ASEAN Regional Forum, yeah, and I think the U.S. also part of that forum, including China and also European countries, yeah, outside the Southeast Asia. So thank you, Ryan. So we will discuss again after all speakers, I mean, already talked about it. Yeah. Okay, and the next second presentation will be from Professor Tirta Nugraha Mursitama, PhD. Yeah, time and place is yours, Tirta. Yeah.
Okay, thank you, Professor Ikra. Ladies and gentlemen, first of all, good morning and thank you, Governor and all the Lemhanas for inviting me, having me in this very wonderful occasion today. Today I would like to discuss about the role of technology related to the geostrategy and the framework of the international relations. Next, please. Yeah, this is the agenda. I think we can go next slide. One thing that it's quite, you know, simple question, but actually need more elaboration in answering this question. So this is the basically question that given to us, that actually how to advance the maritime technology can contribute to the secure and balanced global architecture in a fragmented world like today. It's not easy answer to this maybe $1 million question. Yesterday we follow very thoughtful discussion and insightful from the governor and all the speakers about the geopolitics, for example. Here I would like to bring as well that not only geographic, power, politics, but technology. Technology is indispensable for the international relations today. Next, please. Okay, I would like to begin with the possible toward the contemporary geopolitics. I will present, built upon the governor presentation yesterday about the geopolitics, the fifth generation, I think. So I would like to bring your attention into the importance of the time bond versus the space or territory, and then a technology-based geopolitics. Okay, and if we go further here, that if we know from the time bond whether that the geopolitics or geostrategy is just a continuation of the previous events, like historically or chronologically, or whether the same actors, whether the same national interest is still remains, and whether the different mechanism, whether conflict or cooperation is still there. So I think we should touch upon this issue as well, the time bond. The second, I think the one more important point is that the advancement of the technology. We know that the creation of the space is beyond the geographic, beyond the boundaries of the land, or maybe also including the aerospace or others. But this is, I think, much more important that the digital technology create the digital territory. So we need to understand that beyond the land, air, seas, we know, entering the era that there is additional territory, which is a digital territory. From the advancement of GIS, for example, remote sensing and other technology, artificial intelligence, machine learning, and also blockchain technology. I will touch upon that later on. And the third one, I think I would like to bring your attention on the metaverse word. We don't know whether this is the new sovereignty there, or whether it's the international actors there, or whether the state actor still exists or still relevant. Yesterday, the governor has already mentioned clearly that the actors is not only merely the state, but non-states, but could be the individual, could be the groups, or even us, individual here. So the challenge is that are we ready to enter the geopolitics of metaverse? Who will reign the metaverse world, or maybe another another digital space? I think this is if we would like to go along to the transformation of the military transformation, I think I do agree that we need to put our attention on the digital technology. Therefore, I think here is regulation versus innovation is like the old history. The innovation is always go further, and regulation is lag behind. And then we fight each other on that bureaucracy, and then the regulator, and finally like what we actually facing today, that the government try to get taxings for any digital activities. It's not wrong, but I think this is the new reality that the government also need to understand that. But on the other hand, the business side, the non-state actors is, going farther and more, fast rather than we expect in the past. Next. Then I just read a few papers before, prior my presentation today. There's a very good piece of paper, AI and International Politics. It's available, and I will be very happy to distribute to all of you. From Arsenal and Krebs. It's not the word because I die harder of the Arsenal, but the author resemble with my soccer club, Arsenal. This is a motivation and incentive for international actors pursuing the AI. Among others that the authors mentioned there are three reasons. Motivation for pursuing AI in international politics. Of course, the first and foremost, I think, improving domestic governance and efficiency. For sure, using the AI, all the bureaucracy, all the mechanism is getting digitalized, and all the tracked by the system. And the second point is, I think, related to what we are discussing today about the capitalizing on military opportunities. So many new opportunities open for the military, including not only for war, for example, but maybe in the cooperation, joint cooperation among the international actors there. And the last but not least, number three, is that the first two is focused on the domestic, but the number three here, power, influence, and global competition, bring the international actors once again to the stage of competition. I think this is another important point, that we need to go to AI as one of the, I think, indispensable factor for international relations. Next slide, please. Another example. This is my favorite example that I always bring to the people in Lemhanas, actually. Maybe some of you already familiar with this. This is an application, how the technology is implemented with IR. So let's put this way. In this existing world, that the more centralized world, there is a authority among others, like a superpower, a president, prime ministers, a government. Yeah. But by blockchain technology, by digitalization, and here is an example is cryptocurrency, even still in the undergoing process, but has changed the system, dramatically from the centralized to the more decentralized system. There's no need to validate the transaction from the center, but the hubs and spoke that validate all transactions using the blockchain technology is there. It's not only for the financial transaction. This is just a cryptocurrency is just one piece of example. But we believe in other activities in our daily life. It could be in the bureaucracy, in the education, higher education, maybe into the military. Okay. How every transaction is tracked by the blockchain technology that validated by every hub, that this is decentralized and this is independence, and no central authority can control its hubs and spoke and that. And with that background, I believe that the new world governance or the new world order will emerge from that. I'm not saying that the sovereignty of the state, because I speak before all of you that most of you are military person. I'm not saying that. You're still very important. But how the government or the military need to pay more attention on this different feature of maybe the future of international relations in the coming years. Next slide, please. Well, once again, before I answer the previous question, maybe I typically academician when I given the question and I try to answer that based on what I have been saying in the beginning, that why how the maritime technology can contribute to the global architecture in this fragmented world. I just imagine maybe it's because this is the way how we perceive the world. There is a tendency of the convergence. There's a great narrative among us, among the scholars, among also the practitioners, including the military. How? At least I have two indicators here. The first is from the industry. Many industrialists, many business people, and also all the, let's say, bureaucracy or politicians now is campaigning about the sustainable industry, green industry, climate change, and including how to reduce this CO2 and so on and so forth. So basically, the investment, the financial things must be inclusive. Not only benefit to the business sectors, but the much more important is to benefit the better of the people. This is one indicator. My second indicator is that the technology that I already mentioned before. Innovation, invention of the AI, blockchain, machine learning, and so on. Those are issues that become our daily, breakfast, dinner meeting, lunch meeting. Everyone talk about that. So I may have like a proposal, or maybe because of we have the great narrative that convergent rather than diverge, then I think the maritime technology, can be one of the solution. Okay, next one, my next slide. Hopefully we can go to the more specific answer to the question given to me. I also wrote another piece of paper. It's a very good one. Technology and the Construction of Oceanic Space by Daniel Lambert. Okay, basically his idea is very simple. That once again, creating space, there is interaction among actors, okay, technology and environment. So technological development is entangled with politics. It's not politics itself, not technology itself, but it's intertwined between those two. Okay, if we see here, for example, the actor and technology. Actor on one hand also affect the technology, but technology also give good opportunity for the actors to do something about that. Use the technology and the technology and the environment. Technology give, let's say, the environments much more, better. How to preserve the environment, for example. And also environment also give the parameters for the technology. On the other hand, if we see here the relation among the actors and environment, of course, human beings, multinational corporations, states, okay, have a very good or bad intention how to use the environment. It's up to us whether the environment would like to preserve the environment or we would like to abandon the environment. It's up to us. But also on the other hand, environment also give hints to the actors. Okay? It's like there's a flood, there is a climate change. It's like a jargon that we consuming every day. So according to Lambert's, these three factors create the space construction. I think this is the main ideas of Lambert. So when we talk about the space or territory, it's not only just sea, air, or land, but in this case of this paper, bathymetry. Maybe the colleague from the Navy knows very well about this. It's about nodes, about the dot and the under the sea, and then how to create maps. Okay. So space here is not only the capture of the sea, air, or land, but also create the digital space. Okay, then can be used as a venue for cooperation or even conflict among other actors. In these terms, as international actors. So last but not least, basically this is maybe one of the amongst the so many possible answers that why the technology, maritime technology, that maybe could be very specific on that. I don't touch upon that because I'm not really master on the very specific maritime technology. But here by my presentation, I offer the framework, how to see the technology related to the space, related to the ocean here, because we talk about the maritime technology is access in the ocean. I think I stop here, and hopefully we will have a very good discussion after all the presenters or panelists give a presentation. Thank you very much.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Titra Nugraha. So actually, Dr. Tikta is not only an expert on international relations, but also an expert on management, yeah? In particular related to economy. That's why he talked, about the blockchain technology and also about the borderless world, yeah, related to the financial sectors, yeah, blockchains. The cryptocurrency, yeah. Maybe I will ask you one question. What do you think about the next year's policy from the Indonesian government to introduce the cryptocurrencies, Indonesian cryptocurrencies? So is it, will go abroad, or this is only for the Indonesian citizens only?
Well, I think this is an indispensable, policies that sooner or later the government will allow that. And hopefully, I think it's better to mitigate the risk. I think we locate to the national level first, and then we see the regional, and if it's possible, then maybe we can launch to the global market. But once again, this is not easy to regulate the markets when it goes digital. That's my quick answer, Prof.
Yeah, another question is related to the space technology. You know that in 1950s, 1960s, until 1970s or 1980s, yeah, there have been the competitions between Soviet Union at the time, yeah, and the United States, yeah, about the who will go to the moon first, yeah?
Yes.
Who will be the first persons to go, outer space, yeah?
Yes.
And you know exactly that for the first time, yeah?
Yes.
Uni Soviet or Soviet Unions won, I think, 4 times, yeah?
Yeah.
I mean, they sent Sputnik, they sent Yuri Gagarins, but after 1969, I think, they stopped competition, but also starting to the cooperations, yeah?
Yes.
Related to the, what do you call, technology,
Yeah.
space, yeah? Health, everything, yeah?
Yeah.
So
Right.
what do you think about that? There will be competition again or also cooperations?
Yeah, I believe that the history is repeating itself, and if we understand that under the Reagan, if I'm not mistaken, he launched the Star Wars ideas. So I think on that time, based on that time, technology and maybe thinking, I think the forward thinking of the United States, I think is very, very good. And now I think after maybe a few years later, it become more realistic. It's no need to have a, let's say, expensive investment. Of course, we need investment on that. But I think for the individual now, technology is more accessible to everyone. So I think we need to be cautious on this point. Yeah.
Okay, Dr. Tiktas. So now I think we will move to the third speakers, yeah? Professor Dr. Insinyur Dadan Omar Daihani, yeah? This is also related to technology and maritime security, is it? Yeah, please, Dr. Dadan.
Thank you very much, my best friend, His Excellency Pak Ikrar Nusa Bakti, Pak Gubernur, Vice Governors, Deputies, and all of the participants, and especially the honorable speakers. Thank you, Mr. Alan Dupont. I think 5 years ago, we met in the same forum, the Jakarta Geopolitical Forum, the first Jakarta Geopolitical Forum. Thank you again for coming here. Continuing the presentation of the Professor Tirta, I would like to speak about the technology in general and the case of the maritime technology. So I try to imagine today or tomorrow or the futures, the world is become the artificial world. The virtual world become the real world. That is very interesting, and also the influence of technology to the landscape of the geopolitics. Next, please. I organized my presentation in 4 parts, but it is rapidly the introduction. Of course, we are talking about geopolitical dynamic, the role of technology and the maritime technology, and the closing statement. Next, please. As a background, as we are now, that the technology influence the landscape of the geopolitics today and the futures. Why? The first technology, we are believe the technology is the factor that can increase the acceleration of economic development. And we are now, by using technology, I think all of the activities, the process, the production process, etc., the administration will be more effective, efficient, and productive. And global supply chains can be expanded, as mentioned by Pak Gubernur last day. But in another world, the technology can also be seen as a commodity. So the high-tech, like the smartphone, the drone, etc., it will be more competitive. So that's 3 factors, at least, support or competition have an impact on the geopolitics in the futures. Next, I would like to invite that today or tomorrow and today and the futures, now we enter to the what we call the internet age. That is the result of the technology. I would like to say we are coming to the stage where the problem cannot be solved without internet. We do not fear the internet, but we fear the lack of them. I would like to imagine when we are going to the office and the first time, what are we looking for is Wi-Fi. And we are going to the mall also, what are we going the first looking for is the Wi-Fi. Even when we are going home, the first what we are looking for is Wi-Fi. So the Wi-Fi is more important than wife today. That is, we can imagine the influence of technology for to our behaviors. Next. So the character of today, of what we call the industrial world in the 4.0, technology changed not only the way of work, but the way of thinking. We believe also that nowadays there is a transformation, big transformation from analog culture to the digital culture. What is the mean the digital culture? The phenomenon is dynamic, the French said is aléatoire, random, and that will give an impact. We arrive to disruption area, or we can adaptive to these changes. And also, I remember what Mr. Alan said, that the order will become chaotic or etc. Or we can develop more order in this world, in the geopolitics. Next slide. We can see the time to time, the internet users is increasing. And nowadays is 60.9% using the smartphone, and internet users is 63%, and active in social media. Next, please. Here we can see, but there are issues interesting, the gap between the developed country and underdeveloped country. We can see the internet users per hundreds inhabitants. The developed country increasing rapidly, but underdeveloped, we can see the gap between developing and underdeveloped country. Next, please. It is very interesting when I quote, for instance, the Robin Nebold say that democracy in the futures need more data sharing. Data is one of the most valuable assets. But again, thanks to technology, nowadays we can organize the different form of data, the pictures, narration, etc., by using big data. The creation, use, and control of data will be a significant determination of futures, politics, and economy. Next slide, please. Another experts say that there are the changings, the map of power in the modern world. So in the modern world, the power is not longer defined by geography, geopolitics, maybe geotechnology in the futures, by control of territory or ocean, but rather by control overflow of people, good, money, data, and by exploiting the network of technology created. So the technology is become more important, and I believe that will change the landscape of the geopolitics. Every connection between nations, from energy flow to information technology, become a tool of geopolitics. Next slide. And here the issues, technological gaps, is influence factor in geopolitical change. It means the widening gap between the nature of transnational communication and the growing resistance to it from nation state give rise to new geopolitics. So it is our issues, our interesting to be analyzed. Underdeveloped country and developed country may be very dependent on the technology of developed country. Next, please. So I would like to say that the advanced technology is not only change the way of the work, but they change the way of how we see the world. Also, the advanced technology changed the way how we create economic values, like the cryptocurrency, etc. And also, the advanced technology changed the way how we drive innovation, how we create the technology. And all of the factor is give the biggest impact on geopolitical for 2022 and beyond. Next slide, please. After COVID, now in the COVID area, we try to collaborate every country because the COVID is the problem all of the world, all of the people in the world. But after COVID, I think the rivalry of technology will become again as a tool of geopolitik. As Pak Gubernur mentioned, di dalam bahasa Indonesia ada patahan, connectivity, but there is disconnect between all of the cluster of the world. Geopolitik, the immediate impact will be amplified geostrategic conflict in reaction to difference in the technology. Next slide, please. But it is another side of technology. We believe internet gives an easier way to work, and also we can surfing the world by using internet. Internet we can consider as the windows of the world, but a lot of people say it's on the internet, so it must be true. But in the reality, there is a lot of fake news. This is push the social conflict, social interest, etc. Social unrest. Okay, next please. Here also, for instance, we know the dangers of botnet threat, for example. That is a lot of malware, etc. It is the creation of technology, but it's not give the value to the humanity. Next, please. Here it is very, for instance, yes, thank you for the futures. We can create the driverless car or the car without the driver. But in the another side, we can create the lethal autonomous weapon, the drone, etc. Every day, new technology are born. We have entered to the digital age and the Internet of Things, as I mentioned before. But the question is, can we use technology for a better human life and improve human civilization? Or the technology will destroy all the humanity? Next, please. And the role of maritime technology, of course, it is very important. Maritime without technology is nothing today. Please, next slide. For instance, here, I would like to an example. The Belt and Road Initiative, the rivalry between China versus America. We can see that Belt and Road try to connect the 6 corridor of economy. We can imagine without technology, how we can manage all of the connectivity. So we need the technology for better life. We can see the connectivity, the supply chains, the connectivity between the port, and how we drive the vessel, etc. So the technology can use, and who mastering the technology, it will be leaders of the world. Next, please. But again, trade war now become the technological war. For instance, an example, rivalry in social media, TikTok. US officials estimate the platform potential to profiling. So the TikTok now is prohibited in United States. But in China, Facebook, Twitter, WhatsApp is always also the prohibited. Technology on the one hand will increase the convenience for human, but on the other hand, it can be used as a political tool or the hegemony tools. Next, please. Here are things, yes, we can go into detail about the maritime technology. In the future, the artificial intelligence will have the role important in maritime technology, sensor technology, robotic and 3D printing. Nowadays, as Pak Gubernur also mentioned, the relationship, the network between the supply chains. For instance, just only designed in Indonesia and will be printed in Europe, the 3D printing. It is possible now. It is materials in another site and the design in another country. Big data and IoT, as I mentioned. Nowadays, thanks to technology, we can manage, all of the data, the different form of data. Autonomous control become more and more. Augmented reality, such as universe, such as the city, etc. Ship propulsion system, and advance of the material. This is all of technology can support the maritime technology. Next. The conclusion, hopefully it is in brief presentation. First, technology provides great benefit for human life, of course. But technology can also increase the dependence of the state on other state. The underdeveloped country depends on the developed country who create the advance of technology. Technology, like a two-edged sword, has two flip sides. The third is, as a result of technological development, there is a risk that people as individuals will lose their identity. And the fourth, technology is always for improving welfare, but technology can also be used to dominate and to control another country. Next, please. Another conclusion is a nation whose success in creating powerful maritime technology will be the rule of the world. It will be the leaders of the world. Technology should be used as a means to improve welfare and not as a tool for the operation. It is, we hope, something like that, the vision. And the seventh, strengthening the national interest of each country must be followed by respecting the national interest of other countries. So we can create the peaceful in the world, the balancing of power, etc. And the last, the principle of strategic partnership need to be the main guideline. Cooperation is carried out based on mutual agreement and fulfillment of common interests. It is very important. Last slide, I want to say, nobody knows what may happen in the futures, but we must continue to strive to live a dignified life. The wheel must keep turning and life must remain meaningful. Let us, as a human being, establish a civil society, as Mahatma Gandhi mentioned, be the change that you wish to see in the world. Thank you very much. This is my presentation.
Thank you, Professor Dadan, for your very interesting and excellent presentations, related to technology. But he also mentioned that we have to be careful with the development of technology, who will replace the humans, activities. For example, that if the technology will take over almost all of the mechanisms in the good productions, so it will create a lot of unemployment in the world, And I still remember with the statement from my guru and also Pak Gubernur Andi Wijayanto Guru, Professor Dr. Yono Sudarsono. That's in 1983, when I still wrote my scription at University of Indonesia. And he said to me that, Ikrar, you cannot win if you compete with me related to knowledge and science. Because me, as the old generations, the informations and also knowledge and everything come to me bit by bit. At that time, there was no computer yet. But for your generations, he said to me that there are so many informations come to you from radio, televisions, and books, and then newspaper, and so forth and so forth. Still remember, Alan, at that time there was no computer. Can you imagine for the present generations, where they can compete with the old generations, in particular in like Alan Dupont, how he developed and described and analyzed the critical analysis related to the Asia Pacific's geopolitical order or the competition or something like that. I do believe that you are still much more better for, compared to the present expert in Australia. So, okay. I think we have to move to the fourth presentations from Dr. Raden Mas Wibawanto Nugroho Widodo, PhD. And again, yeah, he is not only expert on economics, yeah, but also, I mean, because he study, I mean, he get the War College the diplomas, diploma, yeah, and also he is also, I mean, his PhD is related to Islam and Muslim. Arab and Muslim countries. Yeah. Yes. So I mean, this is what do you call more more complex, compared to the yes, because you know that in the Muslim countries, there have been what do you call not only political developments but also social changes, particularly in Saudi Arabia and also in other what do you call I mean the countries in Arab, Okay, time is yours, Dr. Wibawanto.
Ya, terima kasih. Thank you, Ambassador Ikrar, Pak Gubernur Lemhanas, Pak Andi Wijayanto, Pak Wagub Lemhanas, dan juga seluruh hadirin, all the ladies and gentlemen.
Can you speak loudly? Because loud? I cannot hear.
Oh, you cannot hear?
Yeah.
Okay. So, thank you, Ambassador, for having me here.
Yes.
And also for Governor of National Research Institute, Pak Andi Wijayanto, Vice Governor, Lieutenant General Fadila, and also my colleagues from the ICAO Strategic Center sent by Pak Agum and Professor Gumilar, Ibu Nita, and also Irjen Paulus Winarto. So we already have the very comprehensive coverage on the relationship between the importance of maritime domain and the national interest of Indonesia, vis-a-vis to the relationship with Indo-Pacific regions, with the AUKUS, Quad states, China, and then the dynamics in the regions. And then the governor also mentioned about the ASEAN centrality yesterday. And then now my turn is as a concluding speaker. I would like to emphasize on the importance of the human asset. Human assets as the main variable, for the maritime capability development and the success for our RI national maritime strategy toward 2045. Because I have the thesis, Ambassador, that the dynamic of the who can influence the rule-based order, related to the maritime domain in the regions is influenced by how best the states can prepare their human assets in dealing with technology, in building technology, because domains is meaningless unless we can develop technology, can use that technology to make that domain become useful for our interest. Like the way we develop the cyber capability, the way we develop something in order to maximize what is provided by the sea, for example. So my next slide. Yeah, so I will cover it in less than 20 minutes with the emphasis on the human assets as the linchpin variable for what we have discussed for the last 2 days, for these 2 days. And then my presentation will be divided into 7 sections. And then the first sections, next slide. I just want to focus on my thesis that we have to take the most of globally emerging technology available. And then it will significantly determine how good we as the nations and as a state to develop our maritime capability and to make sure that we are on track as we envision our national maritime strategy toward 2045. We have to review on it. And then since Indonesia is the non-light country, so we have to be using the constructivist approach to engage the global market. So we have to have the right thinking about the emerging technology so we can take the most out of available at the global markets. And then the maritime capability developments, put in simple ways, they have two elements. First is we as the nations and as a state have to build the necessary maritime infrastructures and the respectable naval force. And then we have to make sure that our national maritime strategy toward 2045 is always on check by checking on the quality of human assets that we have. Next. So at the bottom line, answer to my thesis questions is RE human assets is the linchpin variable. And then even though technology is well developed, they're not the strategists. We are human is the strategists. We are the one who knows how to use the technology. And then it's been well covered before by previous speakers. And then it will position us better in the competitive and the cooperative, competitive and conflictual settings at the world stage. And then especially now we are dealing with the phenomena of the great power politics and disruptive technology with innovative and rapid change in the character of warfare. Next. So what is, next slide. Okay, so what is the constitute the emerging technology? So basically, what we are facing now as a disruptive, someday it will become the common technology that we will use every day. So when we talk about technology, so we have to have the future-oriented thinking out of the box. And then that's why the human assets is a very, very important, and then we cannot put that aside. And then I have two boxes here. The first box is talking about what the Pentagon defines as the 8 most important technologies that will change the character of war. And then on the next box, we can see the top 10 emerging tech according to CompTIA emerging tech community. At least we can see the conjoin between the two boxes. And the first one is the AI, and the second one is the quantum computing. Governor Andy often talk about this matter. So I follow also his thought about this, and then at least, so from these two boxes, we can see that we have to be very familiar with the AI and the quantum computing. Not we, but the human assets that will become the significant variable for the success of our strategy toward 2045. Next. So what constitutes the maritime capability development according to the draft formulated by Palut Office, Menko Maritim Investasi. At least we have two goals: to become the strong maritime state and globally competitive maritime nations. So it's a very big job, right? So and then they have targets, and then they review the targets. But the point is, I would like to emphasize here, it's not only the work of the government. It must be culturally inherent in the nations. That's why the human factor is very important, and Lemhanas plays the important roles in preparing the future leaders to be able to anticipate and lead in the innovative and then the quick adaptations to the rate of change in the character of warfare. Right. So and then also related to the maritime domain. That is interconnected to the land, cyber, space, and air. Right, so everything is connected. And the next slide, next slide, yes. I'm talking about the coherence of the RI maritime strategy toward 2045. If we see here, right, the goals are very well defined. As a state must be strong, as the nations must be culturally competitive in the global place. And then there are three aspects here: economics, politics, and culture. So I just want to emphasize one more that it has been well covered by the previous speakers, that we have to know how to think right about the emerging technology and how we combine it with the maritime domain and how we develop the technology, take the most out of available. We have to think right about that, think with the future-oriented thinking, and use that for developing our maritime domain that is interconnected with other domains. So there are four here, like the basic is regulasi, oversight, institutions, and also information systems. These four are run by the humans who understands the emerging technology. And then in the strategic dictionary, we're not living in a vacuum. We're living in the environment where, you know, other people are around. So we have to be able to outpower or outsmart our contenders, yeah, put it that way. And then if we see the strategy here, it's divided into four steps. First is strong Indonesia, advanced Indonesia, independent Indonesia, and then, wow, it's a pusat maritim dunia, the center of the maritime civilization. That's such a big target. Okay, next, takeaways, the key takeaways that we can study together here is first, the future strategic leadership of our maritime domain should understand the vocabulary and the concept behind the emerging and potentially disruptive technology of at least AI and then machine learning, and the impacts of the dynamics in the maritime domain. Second, the future strategic leadership of RI maritime domain should understand the current and potential future applications and capabilities, and also some of the limitations and concerns of AI and machine learning, within the context of maritime domain and its relationship with other strategic domains, land, sea, land, air, space, and cyber domain. So having said that, so we have to be familiar. We have to be familiar with innovative and leadership through change, where our future strategic leaders can anticipate and lead rapid adaptations and innovations during a dynamic period of what I say here, accelerations in the rate of change in warfare under the global competition, great power politics, and disruptive technology. So this is very important for us to have the right framework. And next slide. And the conclusions. So globally emerging and disruptive technology must be seen as both challenging and opportunistic phenomena to manage and exploit, right? So we should not have the preconceived mind pertaining to the globally emerging technology without first preparing our mind to embrace the phenomenon with a truly strategic mindset. Critical, thinking in time, synthesis, systemic, creative, and then also futuristic. We have to develop this culture. And then I think as, you know, I'm representing here the Geopolitical Strategy Center, so I would like to recommend we need to reframe our ways to educate our future strategic leaders and relative to what China, NATO, Quad States, and FPDA, the Five Eyes, and also AUKUS are doing. So I think this is the roles that Lemhanas and then Geopolitical Strategy Center can do together to support each other. And then as the recommendations, next slide, I have a next. The cognitive wise and also the institutional wise. The cognitive wise is we need to deepen our understandings of the implication of disruptive and future tech for adversary, contenders, and also ourselves relative to other countries. Next, we have to introduce the current evolution of AI and ML, machine learning, and its challenge, limitation, and vulnerabilities we have to acknowledge, and also global competition on quick development of AI for both economic development and military dominance. And then the third one is we have to know how to position AI, machine learning, within larger strategic landscape of securing our national interest. And then and maybe we can become one of the leader in the niche market of the certain technological, certain emerging technology, yeah. So, and then the fourth one is we need to, in the educational setting and also in the public discourse, we need to stimulate thinking and debates about, about the potential bias and then the positive aspects, issue of AI and the machine learning, as a disruptive technology that later on will become the common technology we will use. And then in terms of organizational-wise, next slide, I recommend maybe we can create a joint AI center, a synergy between Lemhanas and then like a coordinating Ministry of Maritime and Investment Affairs, with the MOD, with Ministry of Defense, with Cyber Agency, yeah, with the Quad Helix, with the community stakeholders, academic stakeholders, government stakeholders, and also with the business stakeholders, stakeholders, to coordinate efforts in using machine learning and other AI applications to maintain a comparative lethality and efficiency edge over other nations in terms of economic and military capabilities, right? And then the first point of it is this topic are the topics worth the attentions of future strategic leaders. We have to be serious about this. And the next one is the AI and the machine learning is an integral part of our lives already. And its ubiquity will only increase, right? So we have to keep evaluating this development and then to augment our ability to defend our national interest. And the third point is this emerging technology can compute the big data intricately, yeah, but they don't understand strategy. We are the humans who understand strategy, okay? And then that's why any emerging technology needs humans to take those insights and determine what role they will play in a larger strategy that accomplishes the identified objectives. The last one is we need to harness its strength and knowledge its weakness, and to better use this globally available emerging technology for the future success. And next, as I represent the ICAO Strike Center, so I'm, we are ready to support Lemhanas and all other stakeholders in Indonesia to address these next research questions about, emerging technology. Could this emerging technology advanced truly disrupt, and then to what level that we as strike leaders need to understand it, and then the commercial sectors related to the emerging technologies, and which applications provide the most potential for our economic and national interests, especially in the maritime domain. And then the last one is what strategic level actions that we should do today and in the near future as compared vis-a-vis to like China, NATO, Quad states, AUKUS, Indo-Pacific region states, and because we are not living in a vacuum. So as the last point, Ambassador, I just want to emphasize the importance of us to make the humans as the main asset. And maybe this is just a reflecting thought from my opinion. In Indonesia's military establishment, the J1 is the intelligence, the J2 is the operations, and J3 is humans. Maybe we need to reconsider it and to make the human as the J1. This is provoking ideas. Thank you, Ambassador. I think this is my thought for today. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Dr. Iwawanto. This is very interesting topics, yeah, related to Indonesia in particular, yeah. For example, yeah, actually our heroes, yeah, I mean, for example, from Air Force, Navy, Army, yeah, when they established the industry, military industry, for example, like Nurtanio, yeah, now PTDI, yeah, and also Pindad and what in Surabaya, PAL, yeah. They established and developed that companies from nothing, yeah. They just, what do you call, from his, for example, like Nurtanio, just experience with the helicopter, yeah. Yeah, I mean, he used the, what do you call, machinery from motorcycle or something like that, yeah. But you know that, in the future, yeah, not in the future, but maybe 30 years after that, yeah, Nurtanio in particular, the humans capital in Nurtanio, I think almost in all, what do you call, aircraft industry, yeah, I think there will be 1 or 2 Indonesians, Nurtanio's alumni, yeah. For example, like Malaysia, even, I mean, they use that, this is karya anak bangsa, yeah? I mean, the product of the Malaysian citizen, but it is actually Indonesians, yeah? Because, I mean, technology actually, I mean, created by the, what they call the Nurtanio's industry alumni, yeah? But my question is, yeah, where is the place of the strategic industries, yeah? In particular, the humans, asset, yeah. Indonesia compared to other military industry or strategic industries in Southeast Asia, yeah. This is very important, yeah. And also, you know that our founding fathers, President Sukarno, yeah, when he established Lemhanas, and also when he support University of Indonesia and also Bandung Institute of Technology and the 5 centers of universities, yeah, we call it SKALU, yeah. I mean, lima best universities in Java, yeah. Actually, he wanted to have the capital, I mean, human capitals in Indonesia, yeah, who will be able to produce technology, yeah, better, and also compared to the, to the situations in the world, yeah. But it seems to me that we are still, what do you call, yeah, still have to fight and also catch up, not only to catch up, but also to be a producers, yeah, because all of, people in Indonesia are still the consumers of technology, yeah, not only the communications technology, but also, for example, like car and anything, yeah. But of course, in produce the, what do you call, guns and also, what do you call, the, apa itu senapan, ya. I mean, Pindad is, I think, quite good, yeah, in producing the prototypes. Borrow from the Belgian technology, I think, yeah, into the Indonesian ones, yeah. And you know exactly that the army always win in the competition of shooting, yeah. And because of that, I don't know, Australia or the organizer changed the rules, yeah, not country by country, but groups, yeah, of the army from what do you call, all over ASEAN countries, yeah. This is maybe to what do you call, to change the situation that Indonesian army always win in that shooting competitions in Australia or in Asia Tenggara, yeah. So maybe you can. It seems to me also, yeah, Unhan, yeah, Indonesian National Defense University, it changed its curriculum, yeah, from, for example, political and international relations subject, yeah, diplomacy, asymmetric warfare, and then terrorism, yeah, into the little bit military technology, yeah. So, in your opinion, is it possible that Unhan will be able to produce human asset for military technology in the next future? Yeah. Yes, please.
Yeah, thank you, Ambassador. So basically, my basic argument is human is the main asset, and the technology within the statecraft context is the brain of the nations. Like economic is the lifeblood of the nations, and then technology is depend on the research, and then technology is the brain of the nations. Like a psychology is the soul of the nations, right? So my point here is that we have to do anything possible in order to speed up, to accelerate, you know, the production of the future leaders who inherently understand the importance of the emerging technology. We have to prepare the leaders that will be engaged in the futures with the disruptive technology, as now is considered as disruptive, but in the later on it's not considered disruptive. It will be common. The first, secondly, and your questions related to defense university, that's possible. but it's not enough, right? So that's why I think we have to change our mindset, including the Defense University and all other universities, how important we position human assets and the technology and then its relationship with the national interest and then the global competitions. And then, I mean, like if we use the mirror imaging approach, we can just see what the Malaysians and the Singaporeans are doing. Pak Andi explains last year when we had a meeting with the cyber agency, you know, see how Malaysia is ahead of us, you know, in terms of the strata of doctrine strata, and they adopt the British system, right? So I think we have to be out of the box in thinking about accelerating our adaptations, you know, to develop the human assets. I mean, like, for example, I mean, if we may need to change our approach to J1, J2, and J3 in the military establishment, why not? Just doing the research on it. Because this is what the Singaporean and then our competitors are doing. Something like that, Pak. So anything that is still possible for us at our hands to do, just do it at our best for our national interest. That's from my short point.
Thank you, Dr. Bawanto. So we can discuss it later after, I mean, our speakers finish, I mean, their presentations. Now the last but not least, yeah, in Indonesia we call it gong. You know gong? Gong is the traditional music instrument, yeah, in Java or in Bali. And you know exactly that Indonesian system, yeah, but not in Lemhanas, yeah. Usually, I mean, the governors or presidents will use the gong, yeah, to open the ceremony of the, for example, like symposium or activities, eh? Dang, dang, dang. Now, I think you will present very important and also interesting topic, yeah? The gathering storm, maintaining prosperity and security in Asia's maritime commons, yeah? Because Dr. Dupont is not only an expert on the Australians' defense capability, but also an expert on the the strategic situations in the Asia Pacific, yeah, and also actually he is a consultant of the political and security risks, yeah, in modern ways, yeah. I mean not only related to military but also economic, yeah. So, please, and time is yours, Dr. Dupont. Yeah. Oh yes, please. Why not? Yeah. So I think better for him to stand up.
Can you hear me all right? So, selamat pagi, good morning. It's a great pleasure to be back here in Jakarta again as a guest of Lemhanas, in a city that I've spent many years of my life. So it's like a second homecoming for me. What I'm going to talk about today is a little bit more of the traditional dimension of geopolitics in the maritime domain. My colleagues here have provided some very insightful remarks about the way in which technology is changing geopolitics. But let's not forget that traditional causes of tensions, strategic tensions, are still there, and unfortunately they're getting worse. So I want to basically talk about what is actually driving conflict in this region and what we can do about it, with a particular focus on the maritime dimension. So, first slide, please. Okay, I think it's always very helpful when we're looking forward to just recall where we have come from. So I just want to provide a bit of context for this discussion by pointing out that over the last 30 or 40 years, the Asia-Pacific region has experienced probably a golden period historically. If you look at the history of this region for hundreds of years, unfortunately, it's been quite a bloody history. But the last 30 or 40 years has been a lot of progress. We shouldn't forget that this part of the world has really transformed itself economically, in development terms, in many other ways, to reach a level of, I think, of prosperity that a lot of skeptics would not have forecast 30, 40 years ago. So let's not remember the good things that have happened. And the other thing I should say is we have not had a major war or conflict in this region since 1979. So that's an achievement. Unfortunately, though, these storm clouds are brewing, and the question it raises in my mind is this region's long peace coming to an end? And if so, is there anything we can do about it? Is there anything we can do to preserve the gains of the last 40 years so that after we get through the next period of conflict, that we will have something to build on, not on ashes, but on a real substance? So I'm going to make some suggestions as to how we might think about that and what we might do about it. Okay, next slide, please. All right, let's remind ourselves why the maritime domain is so important to East Asia's and the Asia-Pacific's growth, its political stability, and also its strategic stability. So it may seem self-evident to a lot of people that the maritime domain is important, but if you look back historically, most of the development and even most of the conflict occurred on land, not at sea. That's not to say there wasn't trade on the sea. There was commerce, and there were occasions when there were conflict at sea, but primarily the development of the region, for good and bad, played out on the land. Why has the maritime domain become so much more important today? A couple of reasons. If you go back to the Second World War, when the Japanese Imperial Army swept south into Asia, we all began to understand much more clearly the strategic importance of the seas. And the emerging political elites in this region, including Indonesia, understood that very well. Indonesia more than most countries, because you are an archipelagic nation, so you understand that. But the rest of the world probably didn't quite understand the importance, significance strategically of these sea lanes and waterways. Secondly, as Asia grew in strength economically, naturally trade grew, and most of the trade was carried on sea, not on land. Overwhelmingly, the trade in every commodity you can think of, including energy, has gone through the seas. So it's become an important conduit for trade. But the other interesting development over the last 30 or 4 years is the realisation that the seas contain many valuable resources under the sea, on the seabed, that countries want to exploit for their own economic development. And the problem is that because so many of the borders at sea have not been clearly defined, because so many of the land and sea borders are still in dispute, including many of the islands, that means that if you can actually assert control over territory on land, you can also claim a lot of resources under the sea. Now, I'm saying all that just by way of background, because when we get on to the territorial conflicts, we have to understand they're not just about territory, they're about the resources that control of territory gives you. So resources and territory are inextricably interwoven into the mosaic of East Asia's economic and political history. Right, just a couple of other key points before I move to the next slide. I don't think a lot of people outside this region quite understand how dramatically the world has been transformed economically. Next slide, please. And I think this particular slide just it demonstrates quite clearly the way in which economic and political power have moved from the Atlantic to the Pacific, and it enhanced the importance of the Western Pacific in particular, and the main seas, particularly the South China Sea. So, next slide, please. The South China Sea, and most of you already know this, 40% of global trade, 50% of energy trade goes through the South China Sea. In my view, it is the most important sea in the world now, by any definition. The Malacca Straits carries far more oil than just about any other strait. I've put some statistics up there. Even 10 years ago, it carried more oil than the Suez Canal by 15 times greater than that of the Panama Canal. So it's got enormous amounts of traffic that are essential not only to the growth and prosperity of this region, but globally now. That is a major transformation. Okay, so next slide, please. So now we get to the question of all these resources, all this trade is being jeopardised now by rising conflict. A lot of that now is to do with strategic tensions between China and the United States, as other speakers have spoken about. So great power competition has come back to this region. For the last 30 or 40 years, ASEAN in particular has been in the driving seat. That is because the great powers allowed that to be the case. Now the great powers are coming back, it's much more difficult for ASEAN to find space for its own interests, particularly given the fact that China and the United States now are competing more strongly for influence in this part of the world than just about anywhere else. Are we in a new Cold War? Well, we could have a long debate about that. Some people think that's an exaggeration. But it doesn't matter what label you want to give it. There's no doubt that tensions have increased, unfortunately, and strategic competition between China and the United States has now got to the point, as we saw in Taiwan earlier this month, that there are now real concerns about could we be not just in a Cold War, but potentially could we be in a hot war in this part of the world. Now, 12 months ago, I think most of us would have believed that was highly unlikely. Just like most Europeans thought that war in Europe was inconceivable. We know that war in Europe is now very conceivable. We're having one. It's been going for 6 months in Ukraine. So it is entirely conceivable. We need to factor this into our considerations and our planning, that there could be a hot war in this part of the world. We don't want that to happen, but we have to accept that there is a real possibility. Now, you can put whatever percentage figure you want on that. I personally think it's probably 30 to 40% chance that we are going to have a conflict over Taiwan in the next 5 to 8 years. That's my own personal judgment. Other people don't agree with that. Other people think it's higher. But it's something we need to think about. Next slide, please. All right, well, I don't want to go into too much detail because a lot of this has been talked about. There are a couple of things I want to pull out of this slide. Even though great power competition and the US-China rivalry is exacerbating attention to this region, it is not the primary cause of the region's security problems. The primary cause of the region's security problems are within the region. They're from regional states, and I think a lot of it's to do with China's greater assertiveness in advancing its interests in this region as it seeks to become great again. President Xi Jinping has made it very clear that that is his aim, that he wants to make China great again. Now, the problem is, does making China great again mean that the rest of us have to be subordinate to China's interests? That's the question. Now, we all want to trade with China. We want to have all the benefits of China's economic development, and Australia is no different. But at what cost? So this is a calculation that we all have to make for ourselves. But I think that there's no doubt that China is using every instrument of its state power, from military pressure, economic coercion, and other kinds of interference to get its way in this part of the world. Now, this is all pretty well documented. I know most of you know about this, but it's worth making the point. Final thing I just want to say, this doesn't get much attention in discussions about tensions of the region, but it's not only at sea and under the sea that the competition is playing out, but it's also in the air. And I think the best example of that, the way in which China has asserted itself with its ADIZs, okay? So the ADIZs are not territorial boundaries, but when you're flying an aircraft, whether civil or military, you need to notify the country that controls the ADIZ that you essentially are seeking permission to fly through it. Now, China has turned that into a de facto border for itself, but it infringes on other countries' ADIZs, Air Defence Information Zones, to a much greater extent than any other country. So one of the authors I cite in my paper found that between 2013 and 2020, China infringed on the ADIZs of neighbouring countries, Japan, Korea, and also Taiwan, about 4,500 times. So this is not an accident. This is something that's quite calculated, and it's becoming a problem for a lot of the countries in the region. My question that I'd like to put to you is, what would happen if China declared an ADIZ over the South China Sea? That would infringe on all the disputed, all the countries that claim disputed islands in the South China Sea, and it would definitely impact on the way in which Indonesia would be thinking about protection of the Natuna Besar and the islands and the EZ around there. Next slide, please. Okay, so very quickly, it's important to understand why China's doing this. So I'm going to just summarise this very quickly. China has decided that because it's so resource dependent on other countries, it needs to control as much of the resources as it can in its own neighbourhood, whether it's fish, whether it's oil and gas, or whether it's these polymetallic nodules, which I'll speak a little bit more about. These are these manganese nodules under the sea on the seabed. If you look at the totality of those resources, they're very important to China. Okay, China produces more fish than any other country in the world, but it also eats more fish than anyone else. It has more fishing vessels than anywhere else. So it is highly invested in capturing as much of wild fish market as it can. If it can claim territorial boundaries around these disputed islands, it allows it to more legitimately claim the fish and the resources under the sea. So that's why it puts so much effort into challenging the Law of the Sea Convention and using lawfare to justify its claims to ownership of these islands. And if you look carefully at their legal claims, they are quite spurious in my view. They are certainly very contestable. It is very difficult to see under international law the justification for the way in which China attempts to claim sovereignty over these islands and also the EEZs and the resources under the sea. Okay, next slide please. So, just a couple of points about the fishing fleet. Not only does China have the world's largest fishing fleet by a long way, but the fishing fleet don't just fish. They're used as a geopolitical tool to advance China's sovereignty interests in the South China Sea and East China Sea. We've seen that play out over the last 15 years or so. I don't need to tell you the detail of that. I think Indonesia has been on the receiving end of some of this as well. So the fishing fleet is part of its geopolitical sphere, if you like, for advancing its interests in this part of the world. Of course it fishes, and that's also a problem because China is increasingly infringing on the territorial zones and the EEZs of many regional states. Next slide, please. Oil and gas disputes. That's playing out all the time in the South China Sea. And again, China is being particularly assertive in advancing its claims to oil and gas disputes. Next slide, please. Okay, and this slide here shows you on the seabed there, on the left-hand part of the slide, these polymetallic nodules that are on the seabed. And China has the most advanced technology for exploiting these nodules and turning them into rare earths, which you see in powdered form on the other half of the slide. And for those of you who don't know, rare earths are now critical to just about every aspect of the high-tech economy. Whether you're talking about electric vehicles, you're talking about turbines, the green economy, and also, of course, for military application. An F-35 fighter uses about 35% of it's from rare earths. Your iPhone uses about 70%. 70% of that is rare earths. So rare earths is critically important. So that's one of the reasons why China is spending so much time in looking for these nodules and exploiting them. Next slide, please. Okay, so in summary, the bad news for the region is this, that intra-regional dispute resolution has largely failed, I'm sorry to say. We've been trying for a long time to get China and other countries to get together to develop a code of conduct. That's been going now, by my recollection, for at least 35 years, and we still don't have one. And even if we do get a code of conduct, is it going to make any difference? Is it going to prevent the tensions and the stresses that we've seen play out over the last 35 years? I don't think so. Southeast Asia, again, has become the cockpit for great power competition. When I was here in the 1990s, there was a lot of optimism that Southeast Asia would be able to take control of its own affairs with the great powers supporting them. I'm afraid we are now going back to an earlier period where the great powers now are competing for influence in this region, and it's making it very difficult for smaller and medium-sized states for us to have a voice, and I include Australia in that, by the way. Okay, now next slide, please. Okay, so what can we do about this? Well, there have been a lot of very good suggestions already made, including by the first speaker today and also yesterday. I just want to add a few of my comments here. It's pretty obvious that the smart strategy for smaller countries is to band together around their common interests. Now, ASEAN has been trying to do that for a long time, but it's difficult to do so for two reasons. One, because China is aware that if ASEAN acts together collectively against China's interests, that's not going to be a good thing. So it has been deliberately trying to wedge ASEAN and prevent that from happening with some success. Secondly, because the disputes within ASEAN have not been settled, your intra-regional disputes have not been settled, it makes it difficult to be critical of China if you haven't settled your own disputes. If you could find a way to settle disputes within ASEAN, it would put you in a much stronger legal position and moral position to say to China, we have settled our disputes peacefully and amicably and for mutual benefit, why can't we do the same with you? So I would suggest that that is something that should be within the remit of ASEAN to do. Okay, I've made a mention here of ASEAN Kecil. Okay, some of you may be puzzled why I've mentioned that. So my point here is this. If the 10 states of ASEAN can't work together collectively to solve their problems internally and with China, perhaps a core group of ASEAN countries, which Indonesia, some of your colleagues back in the 1980s in ABRI, as it was known then in the intelligence world, came up with the notion of ASEAN Kecil. We would translate it in English as Inner ASEAN. The core countries of ASEAN, particularly the maritime ASEAN states, working together on maritime issues to come up with a collective position on things. So in two ways, declaratory policy, that is your diplomacy and the way in which your narrative around these issues. If you can have 3 or 4 countries speaking with one voice, it is a very powerful thing. And I think Indonesia has a role, can play a leadership role here. But as we all know, words are not enough. So it also means actions as well. So what could ASEAN do? What could an ASEAN Kecil do in terms of firm action? And my answer to that is to give you an example of something that has already happened, Garuda Shield 22, earlier this month. For the first time, Indonesia invited a whole range of countries that hadn't been there before, and it actually brought, previously Garuda Shield focused on land operations, paratroops, and now there's a much bigger naval dimension. Now why that's important is twofold. One, that sent a very clear message to other countries that Indonesia and its partners would stand up for their rights and their interests and their sovereignty in this part of the world. That's very important signalling, messaging to other countries. But more importantly, you demonstrated a capacity for interoperability and to work with other partners in practical things. Maritime cooperation at sea in the naval domain is very important. If you want to defend what you have to be able to work together. So I thought that was a very good example of what you can do in practice, and doing more of that would actually protect ASEAN's interests collectively. In Indonesia as an archipelagic state, very important. And also signal importantly to other countries, more powerful countries, that the countries of Southeast Asia are capable of banding together, working together, not just in a diplomatic sense, but also in terms of practical cooperation. So I think I will leave it there. Oh, and the final point I wanted to make to you is this. Diversification of trade and investment is a critical part of a strategy for preserving and protecting your own independence of action. Now, I'll just give you an Australian example. We, like Indonesia and just about every other country in this region, our main trading partner is China. Of course, we want to keep that trade going. We've benefited from it more than any other country. The last thing we want to do is have problems with China, but we do have problems with China. And one of the problems is we put too many eggs in the China basket. So when you go to an investment manager and say, how should I invest my money? The first thing you will get told is, don't put all your money in one place. If you want resilience, if you want to have genuine resilience, you need to diversify your investments. And the same with trade, and the same with relations with other states. If you are too reliant on one country in trade and investment terms, you will lose your capacity for independent action. You will lose some of your sovereignty. And that is what happened with Australia over the last 5 or 6 years. We lost $20 billion worth of trade with China in 2020 through economic coercion. And we learned our lesson. So we are now diversifying. We're still retaining our trade with China, but it's time to move on. Sorry, I've gone overboard. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Dr. Alan Dupont. I do believe that he still have a lot of things to, to explain, yeah. But because of the time limits, we have to close, these presentations, yeah. And we will now move to the Q&A. And different from yesterday, yeah, where the speakers can respond to each other speak, yeah. But today, again, because of the time limit, we will directly to give the the time for the people in the audience and also from the Zoom, yeah, to raise their questions directly to the speakers, yeah. But before that, maybe I would like to give a response to Dr. Alan Dupont's presentations. Yeah, I think this is very interesting and very excellent presentations. Yeah, because you know that when I was a student at University of Indonesia, and when we learned about the international arena of conflicts, yeah, our lecturers always said that the first mandala, yeah, the first area of conflict is Europe, yeah, Europeans, continent, yeah, and the second area is always the Timur Tengah. Timur Tengah is the Middle East, yeah, and Asia Tenggara, where we live, yeah, Southeast Asia is on the very lessons or maybe unimportant area of conflicts among the middle power and even the big powers or superpowers. Eh? But you know exactly that in 1980s, yeah, we also learned that there was a statement from the from our lectures, yeah, that 21st century will be the Pacific century, yeah? I mean, compare the previous, the 20th centuries, the Atlantic century or something like that. And you know that from your presentations, it is true, yeah? It's happened now. You mentioned that, for example, the 40% of trade, yeah, or export is come from Asia-Pacific areas, yeah? And also the more important of the South China Sea maritime area, yeah? As the not only area of conflict, but also sea lanes of communications between regions, yeah? Not only in East Asia, but also with the Middle East and European countries, yeah? But it seems to me that you still maintain the Australians' perceptions of China, yeah? That China is a red peril, yellow peril, and now I don't know what kind of peril again, yeah, from the Australian perception on China. And also, that Indonesia is very important, yeah, for Australia, not only as a fortress, yeah, to Australia, but also what you call that we have to cooperate, yeah, in many activities, yeah. To develop our capabilities, yeah, in economy, in military and security and so forth. So, because there will be a statement from Ryan Haas, okay? We will be waiting for the connection with Mr. Ryan Haas, please. Yes. Yes, please, Ryan.
Hello, thank you, Ambassador, and thank you to all of the panelists for such tremendous presentations.
Yeah.
Ambassador, I very much agree with your sentiment. I think that the world is undergoing the most significant power transition since the middle of the 19th century, since the 1850s, 1860s. At that time, power shifted in the global stage from Europe to North America. Now, I think, as you're describing, a lot of power is shifting from North America to the Asia Pacific. And as this power transition is taking place, it's incumbent upon all of us to ensure that this trend is not disrupted by a break in the long peace in Asia. And that's why I think that that all of these presentations and conversations have been so essential, to try to surface ideas for how we can manage the tensions that are very palpable and real, so that they don't derail the trend lines, which I think are working in favor of the people of this region. The second and final observation before I turn it back to you is that I thought it was really important, for at least for me, to listen to this conversation, because it helped me realize how much people in the United States are so focused on the present that they're underappreciating the amount of thought that needs to be devoted to the future. You know, we in Washington are spending all of our time thinking about the war in Ukraine, dealing with Russia, dealing with China, in great power competition. This is the first conversation I've been a part of where there's been a serious discussion about what role sovereignty will play in the metaverse, for example. And I appreciate our speakers bringing up these issues. So it's been an incredibly rich conversation for me, and I appreciate the opportunity to participate.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Ryan Haas. Now I think we will directly, give the forum, yeah, the floor, yeah, to raise their question. The first one is from Dr. Timothy R. Head, yeah, and to whom you will direct your questions to. And please, because of the limitation of time, yeah, please, one person just only give one question to maybe to the all speakers or to one of the two speakers. Please, time is yours.
Okay. Yes, thank you. My question is, actually I did want to ask gentleman on the far right, Monsieur, Professor.
Yeah.
You mentioned maritime technologies will be critical to rule world leadership. And I wonder if you could tell us which types of technologies you were thinking about. Thank you.
So, Professor Dadans, please.
Yes, thank you very much. I would like to answer your question in French because you speak French very well. But okay, I think, yes, the technology is for the maritime technology, a lot of things. Why, if we can master the maritime technology, it will be the leaders in the futures. Why, as the mention of another speakers, in the the maritime, a lot of resources. And then now we have to develop the supply chains, global supply chain. It's depend on the maritime, as Napoleon, for instance, said that the archipelagic country is the futures, the sea is the future of resources, etc. The technology, the high-tech, nowadays, for instance, more efficient and effective if we are using integrated artificial intelligence in the maritime technology. So the trend is how we can use technology as a power and human is a driver of technology. That's maybe, hopefully can answer your question. Thank you very much, Mr. Timothy, for your question.
Okay, thank you, Professor Dadan. So before I give the second, persons to raise his question, so I think we all of us have to give the thing, to say thank you to Mr. Ryan Hess from Washington DC. For his presentations, and also, comments to the all speakers. Ryan, because you are still very tired. I think it's already midnight in Washington DC. So thank you very much, Ryan, and we will meet again in the next activities of Lemhanas, maybe this year or next year. Thank you, Ryan. See you later. Okay, next is to Pak Sam Ramgeven. Pak Sam? Oh, it's you. Sorry, Mr. Sam Ramgeven.
Sure, I'll...
I thought that you are Indonesian, but we have the, Western name. Please, sorry about that.
I actually would open this question to any of the panelists. I just wondered if the events in Ukraine over the last 6 months had changed your minds about the role of technology in strategic and military affairs in maritime Southeast Asia. One obvious factor is the ubiquitous use of drones on both sides of the Russia-Ukraine conflict, but also the sinking of the Russian cruiser Moskva. There is a debate, a long debate that goes back at least to the 1980s and the Falklands War, and perhaps even before then, which is about the utility of large surface ships in modern warfare, given the lethality of modern high-speed anti-ship missiles. Our Navy keeps buying, in Australia, keeps buying big and very expensive surface ships. I think Indonesia is as well, to a lesser extent. And most navies around the world are still investing hundreds of billions of dollars in what look to me to be incredibly vulnerable military platforms, reinforced again by the events in Ukraine. So I would like your comments narrowly about that, but more broadly about whether the war in Ukraine has made you rethink some of your assumptions about the role of technology in the military balance in Southeast Asia.
So, Alan, will you give a response? And maybe other speakers also give a very, because this is very time limit, yeah? So give the answers, not...
Okay,
Long
so
answer, yeah.
couple of quick responses, okay. First of all, you know, there is always debate about do we have a revolution in, you know, military affairs or technologies after each war. And of course, every war focuses the minds of our generals and our admirals about whether the old technology is still relevant or to the same extent as it was before. I think there are some obvious developments out of Ukraine that are applicable now, and you've put your finger on one of them. Drone technology has been quite revolutionary, but not quite as much as a lot of people think, because there are counter-drone technologies being developed as we talk. So it's very easy to paint with a broad brush and say all those technologies, big ships, tanks, they're all obsolete. We need to look at all the high-tech asymmetric weapons of the future. I think it's probably the truth is somewhere in the middle. Some of those old traditional platforms will be changed and transformed. It's how you use the technology militarily that matters. And the Russians failed military science 101 or military tactics 101 by deploying their tanks without infantry to support them. So it was their faulty tactics rather than the tanks itself. That, you know, to argue that tanks are now obsolete because of what happened in Ukraine, I don't think necessarily follows. The only other point I'd make on this is the way in which the Ukrainians have won the information war. And this goes to some of the technology we've been talking about. You know, the wars are won in the hearts and minds of humans. And information war is critical. So you can be deficient in military capabilities, but if your information warfare technology and techniques is good, as the Ukrainians has been, you can actually, it contributes to you to winning overall in the long term. And I think the Ukrainians have done extremely well, and we've learned a lot of lessons from how to conduct information war in the 21st century. I think we can all learn a lot from that.
Dr. will you? Yes.
What I'm worried is not the traditional war, but the technological war. Someone say that if I can destroy the country by using computers, why you have to send the military? So this the technology that I want war in the futures. So the Ukraine, for instance, and Russia, because the two countries have capabilities in hacking technology, cyber warfare, etc. Maybe it is just only give another perception. Thank you.
Please, Dr. Tita.
Well, okay. I have to admit that I'm not an expert on maritime technology, Sam. But I would like to analyze once again that maybe in the future, or even today, we have to consider that the uses of the technology like AI, machine learning can somewhat to just like to change the thing, not gradually, but maybe significantly, because we still don't know that whether artificial intelligence in the future would really comply or abide by us. I mean, a human here. There's still, like a, box or something that maybe even 0.001, that may be a possibility that artificial intelligence can go against us. So I don't know here, maybe it's quite more normative in answering your question, but I think we have to start to think that whoever exists want to be, let's say, middle power or even big power or superpower, I think I have to invest on that things right now to change the mindset that we have to include technology in our daily life. Okay, and not to mention US or China, I think we even maybe smaller countries or even in Indonesia, we can start from investing that technology, and not only in the hard component or hardware, but I think we have to start to to create the education, not only the higher education, but in the vocational thing, how to use technology wisely and interact with humans. Okay. I know this is maybe a scatter in answering your question, but I want to say that we need to consider technology at the moment, and whoever reign the technology, I think he will reign the world in the future. Thank you, Sam.
Yes, Dr.
Very quick response. The Russo-Ukrainian conflicts give us a very good lesson learned about, and then confirming the hypothesis by RAND Corporation's assessments, the global, the future global warfare is predominantly influenced by the cyber warfare. Okay, so we can see this from the social aspects, the control of information, and also the other aspect is, the technical aspects, like intrusions and also sabotage, right? And how it's connected with other domains and how it's well conducted within the joint operations context. These are some things that we need to learn. Indonesia, we haven't involved in the, what Pak Andi said, we never been involved in the regular or conventional warfare. So we need to learn about this, and the social aspect and the technical aspects, and how the warfare is conducted in the future is predominantly depend on the usage of the cyberspace and how it's connected with other domains. That's from my end.
Okay, thank you. Now I'll give the opportunity to Rear Admiral Trusna Kusumawati. Ibu? Mau jadi? Enggak? Oh ya, okay. Actually, we also have the question from the outside this room, from Fatimah Amir, from Universitas Islam Indonesia. So, Fatimah Amir, are you there? Because, she will, raise her questions on screen. Oh, yes. Yes, please. Just very short questions, yeah?
Okay. Thank you so much for the opportunity. I want to ask how to overcome excessive dependence on technology in this modernization era. What if due to increasingly modern technology, human resources act impulsively, relieve, and always need things that smell instant? How to overcome all of it? That's all for me. Thank you.
So who will answer the question? Alan, will you answer? Oh, the technology or something like that. Oh, Tirta. Okay, please, Tirta.
Boleh diulangi pertanyaannya? I don't really get it, the question clearly. Mungkin bisa pakai bahasa Indonesia, boleh?
Oke, jadi saya bertanya bagaimana cara mengatasi ketergantungan yang berlebihan di era teknologi yang modern ini. Dan bagaimana jika karena teknologi yang semakin modern ini, sumber daya manusia bertindak impulsif, meremehkan sesuatu atau meringankan, dan selalu membutuhkan hal-hal yang berbau instan seperti itu.
Baik,
terima
baik.
Kasih.
Ya, terima kasih. Sudah semakin jelas ya. Boleh saya jawab bahasa Indonesia saja ya Pak ya? Pak Prof ya. Ya, baik. Pertanyaan yang bagus sekali. Jadi kita harus menyadari bahwa teknologi itu hanyalah tools. Ya. Tools, jadi kita yang mengontrol teknologi. Tadi saya setuju dengan Pak Swibawanto ya. Namun demikian ada satu teknologi ya, tadi katakanlah kecerdasan buatan atau machine learning, itu kalau mereka iterasinya, ya algoritmanya itu bisa lebih canggih daripada pola pikir manusia, itu kemudian manusia bisa saja ada chance ya, walaupun saya sebutkan sangat kecil, tapi ada chance bahwa mereka itu akan dalam tanda kutip melawan kita. Tidak ada yang bisa membuat kita secure bahwa artificial intelligence itu tunduk di hadapan manusia. Nah ini yang perlu kita sadari dulu. Nah mungkin dalam konteks kita generasi muda ya, teman-teman generasi muda, sama halnya tadi. mau itu diterapkan dalam kehidupan sehari-hari atau diterapkan dalam kehidupan mungkin dalam hal ini adalah kehidupan bernegara, ya, kehidupan berbisnis gitu ya. Teknologi harus di bawah kendali kita. Nah, bagaimana saya setuju tadi bahwa mindset kita sebagai human harus bisa mengatur. Ya. Karena saya berpandangan teknologi itu sebenarnya dalam tanda kutip ya sangat netral. Namun demikian ketika artificial intelligence itu belajar dari tingkah laku kita, tingkah laku manusia, mengumpulkan banyak data, nah dia bisa menemukan pola-pola yang kemudian akan berpikir secara otonomus gitu ya, atau independen untuk kemudian memilih satu keputusan yang lebih preferable kepada manusia ataukah melawan manusia. Teoretikalnya begitu, secara teoritis demikian. Namun demikian itu tadi yang pertama. Yang kedua tentu kita harus menggunakannya secara bijak ya. Jadi tidak perlu juga selalu apa-apa teknologi begitu ya. Sehingga kesannya tadi kalau sampai membuat hasil itu ingin diraih secara instan. Nah, tetap harus menjalani satu proses. Misalnya Anda mungkin ini karena mahasiswa ya, ada penelitian misalnya, mau skripsi atau mau menulis paper gitu. Bagaimana mengumpulkan tidak hanya ketika ditugaskan menulis paper yang bagus, tidak hanya kopas-kopas ngambil dari Google gitu ya, di googling terus ditempel-tempelkan begitu. Nah bukan begitu, tapi manfaatkan yang di Google, yang di internet itu untuk mengambil sumber-sumber yang terpercaya. Karena banyak juga tadi Prof. Danani sampaikan juga bahwa ada hoax banyak di sana. Banyak materi-materi yang jelek, yang ya apa sampah lah begitu kira-kira ya. Nah untuk itu gimana ya kita generasi muda atau kita bangsa Indonesia harus banyak membanjiri internet itu, Google itu dengan konten-konten yang positif. Karena perangnya sudah mulai begitu ya. Karena kalau Anda ketik saja misalnya geopolitik gitu, mau ada yang bagus, yang jelek, yang menulis hebat, mau menulis abal-abal juga ada semua di situ. Nah makanya hati-hati gitu. Nah di sini ya, jadi tetap kembali bahwa manusia yang paling utama, apalagi kalau tadi Mbak sebagai insan kita yang insan beragama ya tentu punya panduan gitu, bagaimana menggunakan teknologi secara baik untuk keadilan, kemakmuran, kebaikan, ya menghargai toleransi satu sama lain, tidak dimanfaatkan untuk membunuh orang lain, melukai orang lain gitu. Nah itu menurut saya beberapa hal yang mungkin bisa dilakukan ya sehingga mengurangi ketergantungan terhadap teknologi dalam arti yang buruk ya, dalam arti yang jelek. Demikian Prof.
Okay, thank you Dr. Tita. Actually we still have two persons who wants to raise their questions ya. And I will give the opportunity to Bapak Indrastomo Nugroho, Director of the Antagraha Bank International. Pak Indrastomo? Yes, please.
Yeah, good morning.
Very short ya Pak ya?
Yeah, good morning. I'm Indras from Artagraha. Yeah, based on your presentation, yeah, technology maybe is unavoidable for us. And alongside to build the capability of maritime industry with advanced technology, we have to, in parallel, to build the AI, machine learning, and big data. As Mr. Dupont said, action is required so Indonesia can have a leading role to play. Actually, Fatima on the Zoom is also asking about the human capital. And the question is, maybe how is the initiative for the human to build human capital capability in Indonesia? So how we can do the AI thing, machine learning thing, big data things, because human capital is maybe the most important thing in here. The second question is also the initiative maybe for the infrastructure. Maybe the infrastructure technology actually for the Internet things. We talk about the IoT and anything. Maybe the infrastructure is, yeah, we will go there to complete the infrastructure, the land infrastructure. But when you say about the space technology infrastructure, I don't know, what is the initiative for that? Maybe we have a satellite there, but maybe not much, and how to build and to add that, because we are the maritime country. Yeah, we have to know all about the Indonesia maritime country. And then we also have to maybe the initiative or big data cross institution. Yeah. So we know the wealth of the maritime in Indonesia. But yeah,
So
there's
this
two questions. Yeah.
Your question is to Dr. Dupont or to other Indonesian speakers?
Maybe to Indonesian speaker, maybe for Pak Wibawa and for Pak Tirta. And if Mr. Dupont want also to add, is okay. Thank you. Yeah.
Dr. Tirta first, yes,
Yeah,
please.
okay, thank you, Mr. Indras. Really enlightening question. Well, just I go straight forward. The first respond to the first question, initiative in building the human capital. Since I am from higher education, we have to invest in higher education. But as I mentioned before, we need also to mention in the vocational school. That's very important. I just quick observation. Now the data scientists, there's needs of people who mastering in data science. So like, for example, BINUS and I believe in other universities as well, there are so many requirement or so many demand from the industry about the data science. In BINUS, computer science and information system, the best graduates, even not graduate yet officially, is already hired. Okay, this is the real things. And AI, machine learning, big data, actually it's not just jargon, but it's real. And I believe, Mr. Indras, because you're working in the bank industry, so you believe how the competition is very fierce on that field as well. And even now, let's say the starting salary for the data science or just graduate for undergraduate, more than 2 digits. So even from one industry or even one firms or one company, they're eager to hijack even from still the junior developer or the junior coder. So this is a real thing. So if we are really serious on developing the AI-related technology, we start from the education. Of course, education is not merely a public and private one. It's not only about the universities, but also another, let's say, institution. That's why we can also learn from the whatever sources that available online, online course and so on and so forth. That's one thing. But the second point, I think the initiative of the government is a must. Related to the question number 2, I think the AI-related or technology-related big data is a huge money. So if just let's say one institution or one individual just invest to the AI courses, it's just a small thing. But if the government is very serious on this issue, I think they have to I don't know, revitalize the curriculum. Maybe from the high school to the graduate school related to these topics or the study program, and they have to start pouring money, investing the infrastructure, and also creating let's say the best education on that. And we know the other thing is that we need to invest more on the public R&D. We know that brain and so on and so forth, so many complicated, arrangement on that. But actually, I think there's still a hope that that we can go further on that. By investing R&D, public R&D in a huge manner, it gives a signal to the private sectors. Okay, since the government invests on that AI-related project as well, let's give a signal to us. Okay, I will jointly invest on that specific project. We go along together, because we know that the logic of the government and the state, the market is different. Okay. We thought the signal from the government. I believe that you will not invest on that kind of the big things. We thought that it is important, but we don't know yet how effective and how the return of investment in the future. Okay, this is just my quick response, Ambassador. Thank you.
Okay, you want to answer?
Saya hanya mau tambah sedikit poin ya. I'm addressing your question with Indonesians. Yang pertama adalah dari perspektif higher education dan professional school study, pembelajaran mengenai teknologi perlu dilakukan dengan interdisciplinary, dengan social science dan public policy dan teknologi, sehingga keluaran-keluaran dari lulusan ini tidak hanya menjadi teknisi, tapi menjadi strategis. Jadi interdisciplinary. Karena banyak orang Indonesia yang jago matematika, jago fisika, tapi kenapa dari Global North yang menjadi inovator? Karena ada 3 aspek yang harus dieksplor, yang tidak pernah bisa terhenti untuk dieksplor. Yang pertama, kebesaran Tuhan, teologi. Yang kedua adalah alam. Yang ketiga adalah manusia. Manusia sendiri. Jadi kita harus selain menguasai teknologi, menguasai social science dan public policy. Itu satu. Yang kedua, saya mau address mengenai pentingnya government untuk melakukan percepatan pembangunan 3 lapisan ruang cyber yang menjadi backbone dari emerging technology. Yang pertama adalah lapisan fisik, yaitu infrastruktur dan hardware yang tersebar di seluruh lingkungan geografis Indonesia menuju 2045. Pak Andi sudah sering fisikan itu. Ya. Yang kedua adalah pembangunan logical applications atau logical network, software. Ya, untuk sementara mungkin kita harus bergandengan tangan dengan pihak luar negeri, ya, untuk hal itu, ya, untuk menstimuli perkembangan produksi dari logical layer ini. Dan yang ketiga adalah manusia sebagai layer yang ketiga. Nah, ini semua tidak boleh saling kalah. Ini tiga-tiganya harus berimbang dan diukur benar menuju 20 tahun Indonesia ke depan ini seperti apa pembangunan 3 lapisan ruang cyber yang menjadi backbone dari penggunaan emerging technology, termasuk nantinya di dalam maritim domain. Dan interkonektisitasnya dengan domain lain. Saya rasa itu.
Please, Alan, will you give any comments on that?
I'll just make one comment. So, I'm not sure in Indonesia if this is the case, but in Australia we have this acronym called STEM, right? Yeah, okay. So there's a big drive for STEM graduates because everyone is making the argument that with all this technology we need to have people who are more technologically literate and understanding. That's true. However, what we're finding is that there are a whole lot of ancillary disciplines, supporting disciplines that you need to develop at the same time. Who's looking at the legal dimension of all these technology sort of innovations? Who's looking at the ethical side? Who's looking at the policy side? What does it all mean? So you need to have people who also have skills in the social sciences working with the STEM people together, you know, because it's not, usually everything we look at is not just a straight question of the technology. We understand the technology. The question is, what does it mean? How do we integrate that into our economic or military decision making? What are the consequences of doing that? What are the economic trade-offs? You need to have economists working on this. So you need to put together a team of people who understand the whole ecosystem in which you're operating, and that means the demand for non-STEM people is also very great, but the non-STEM people need to have a better understanding of the STEM subjects to talk about. They have to have a higher levels of literacy in STEM to understand the policy stuff. If you don't have that, then you can't understand what the consequences of the policy implications are.
Okay. Thank you, Dr. Dupont. I think it's all, I mean, that's all the time that we have. Yeah, we apologize if we can accommodate all your questions. Yeah, and also, I mean, I do believe that maybe audience, I mean, in the floor still have many questions to the speakers, yeah. But I mean, you can raise directly to the speakers, yeah. In particular, to Dr. Alan Dupont, yeah, from our military colleagues, yeah, in this room, because I know exactly Dr. Dupont, yeah. I mean, he is a master in the how to drive the Australian defense white paper, yeah. So when we assisted ministries of defense in Indonesia, yeah, I mean to undertake the review of Indonesian defense capabilities and also Indonesian white paper at that time, yeah. we also learned from Australia's white paper, yeah, about how to draft the defense white paper. And actually, Australia is what you call much advanced. Yeah? Not only they have the defense white paper, but also they have the foreign policy white paper since 1997. Yeah, Alan. Eh? And maybe, I mean, to conclude our discussions on the technology and the security issues, yeah, I still remember when I was in Brisbane, yeah, at Griffith University, that at that time there was the 1988 International Expo in Brisbane, and I mean, the taglines of the expo is leisure at the time of technology. Remember, Alan? Yeah. But nowadays, maybe I have to conclude. This is the what do you call the security issues, maritime security, and also international security dialogue here at the time of technology. Yeah. And I think we have to, please, I mean, we have to give the very warm applause, yeah, to our speakers, yeah, including to Mr. Ryans already. Yeah. And now I will return to the show to our host, Sarah Wen. Please, Sarah, welcome.
Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen. May I have once again a big round of applause for our moderator, Professor Dr. Ikrar Nusa Bakti. Thank you, Professor, for leading such a wonderful discussion. And now, ladies and gentlemen, to all the speakers, thank you as well for sharing insights. And I invite you to please stand up and take a stand right here at the center stage. For next, ladies and gentlemen, we will be witnessing the handover of our token of appreciation, which will be given by the Governor of the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia. Therefore, I would like to kindly invite the Governor of the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia, Dr. Andi Wijayanto, to be accompanied by the Deputy of Strategic Studies and also the Chairman of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022 to come up on stage and to give the token of appreciation for our moderator. Now, ladies and gentlemen, may I have a big round of applause as a sign of our gratitude for the wonderful discussion led by Professor Dr. Ikrar Nusa Bakti. And next, the token of appreciation will also be given to the speakers of our third session of our Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022. And next, I would like to also kindly invite the representatives of Media Group Network as the partner of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022 to please prepare yourselves and also to come up on stage to receive the token appreciation, which will be given by the Governor of the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen. May I have another round of applause for our speakers for sharing their wonderful, wonderful information, also knowledge with us today. And once again, I would like to kindly invite to please come up on stage and prepare yourselves, the representative from the Media Group Network, to come up on stage to be given a token of appreciation from the Governor of the National Resilience Institute as the partner of our event today. Yes, please take a stand. Silakan, Ibu Meni. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, we hope you had a wonderful discussion session at our second day of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022, Geomaritime, Tracing the Future of Global Stability. We had wonderful discussion sessions, 3 discussion sessions, and this is the second day, and this is the token appreciation. And next, the token appreciation to Media Group Network as the partner for the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022. May I have another round of applause, ladies and gentlemen. And I would like to kindly invite to to all our speakers, our moderator, and also the representative of Media Group Network to next also take your place up on stage, on the center stage, to take a photo together along with the token appreciations, and to our documentation team and also our media representative. No, next. Oh, thank you very much. Terima kasih. Thank you very much, sir. Terima kasih banyak, Bapak. Thank you very much, Dr. Andi Wijayanto. Yes. Right, baik. Terima kasih, dan selanjutnya kami juga persilakan dan kami panggilkan untuk perwakilan. Untuk berikutnya adalah sudah ada Bapak Gubernur, oleh karena itu Bapak Wakil Gubernur dan juga Prime Secretary, the Deputy of Strategic Studies is already up on stage, and also the Deputy for National Values, and also the Chairman of 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum is already on stage. Therefore, once again, ladies and gentlemen, and also our moderator for the first day of the Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022 to also come up on stage, Dr. Kuri Maharini, and also our speakers of the first day of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022. And here we are, ladies and gentlemen, all speakers, all moderators, and also the governor, the vice governor, prime secretary, the deputy for strategic studies, the deputy for national values, and also the chairman of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022, all together up on stage. Can I have a big round of applause, ladies and gentlemen? And next, ladies and gentlemen, we will be having 3 poses. Bapak dan Ibu, kita akan ada 3 gaya. Nanti saya akan bantu hitung. Untuk gaya pertama, ini kita bisa gaya siap, gaya yang formal. We can take a formal photo first. We will be having 3 poses. Ladies and gentlemen, the first pose, there is also an example for you to follow right in front of you. So I will count to 3. Are you ready, ladies and gentlemen? On the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. And next, for the second pose, we like to ask you to please put your hands in a very, very energetic style. Mengepalkan tangan. You can follow the example, gentlemen, right in front of you. And then on the count of 3, 1, 2, 3. And next, for our third and last photo, kita akan gaya bebas. A freestyle photo. Please, you can be creative and do any style you want. Have fun. And we hope it shows how energetic and fun sessions we had at the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022. On the count of 3, in 1, 2, 3. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much once again. And you may now return to your seats, ladies and gentlemen. And we'd like to also express our gratitude, and we'd like to say thank you once again to all of our speakers, and especially our moderator for moderating and also leading the wonderful discussion session that we had at the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022. Once again, thank you very much. Ladies and gentlemen, you may now return to your seats, because although we have come to the end of our third discussion forum, we still have a numerous agenda and also a wonderful entertainment session that is awaiting at our 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022, Geomaritime, Changing the Future of Global Stability. And once again, we'd like to also thank our speakers and also our participants who have joined virtually or online, and especially to our online speaker at the third session, to Mr. Ryan Haas, who had to leave early, but we'd like to thank you for your participation at the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum. And once again, ladies and gentlemen, may I have a big round of applause for the wonderful event that we have for the second day. And as we all know, that we will still be having another session after this, which, although it's not a discussion session, we'll be hearing remarks. Therefore, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who are joining us online and also offline at the Grand Studio of Metro TV, Jakarta, I would like to remind you that it will be delivered once again in English. Therefore, for you who are joining us virtually, to the virtual participants, you may use the interpreter feature if you wish, which is located at the bottom of your screen at the toolbar, and to listen to the interpretation from English to Bahasa Indonesia by clicking Bahasa. You will be able to hear a speaker in Bahasa Indonesia, but there will also be a speaker or a lower audio level of using English. If you do not wish to hear the original audio, you may click the Bahasa Indonesia once again, and you may click the mute original audio. Then if you do click the mute original audio button, then you will not be able to hear the English speaker. And after this, we would like to also inform to the participants who are here at the studio, once again, you may use the headset if you wish to hear the interpretation from English to Bahasa Indonesia. But I would like to remind you to please kindly place it back on the table once you have finished using it. And I would like to thank you, ladies and gentlemen, for your participation. And I'd like to also thank you for joining us virtually. As we all know, may I have another round of virtual applause and also applause for all the participants for your active participation. Because as we all know that we had a very fruitful and also engaging discussion for the both 2 days of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022. And we believe that although there are still questions that may not be able to be delivered today, but we hope you still gain the insights and also knowledge that will be very, very useful in the future, especially in also strengthening our national geopolitical strength in the region. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to also remind you that to please stay with us here at the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022, because we will still be having another agenda and also another entertainment session that awaits here at the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022. And we'd like to also remind you once again to please use the interpretation feature that is available if you do wish to hear the session, because we will still be having remarks which will be delivered in English, ladies and gentlemen. And as we all know, that next we will be entertained by a wonderful singer. As I mentioned before, that next we will be having a wonderful entertainment session. And I would like to read her biography or her profile just a little bit to give you a little teaser and probably clues on which great singer, who great singer that will be delivering and also presenting her wonderful music and song for us today. Our wonderful singer was born on July 7, 1979 in Singapore, and her name is known by the public as a flow gospel singer, a classical singer, and also a pop singer. She began her hobby, which is of course singing, at a very young age, which is at 5 years old, and at that very young age, she had dared to perform a solo debut in the church choir when she lived in Singapore, ladies and gentlemen. In addition to singing, she is also very, very good at playing the piano. And I hope I'm giving clues that that every one of you can probably think or probably guess what singer or which singer that I am going to call up on stage after this. And as a teenager, she often participated in singing competition, including the Prambors Tent Festival, Aksi, and also Horas Indosiar. And in 2019, she once won the Anugerah Musik Indonesia Award for the category of Best Nasrani Spiritual Song Production Work. And also, she received a nomination as the Best Vocal Jazz Artist. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, let me present to you and give a round of applause to Lea Simanjuntak.
Hari-hari terus berlalu, tiada pernah berhenti. 1000 rintang jalan berliku, bukanlah suatu penghalang. Hadapilah segala tantangan, mohon petunjuk yang kuasa. Ciptakanlah kerukunan bangsa, kobarkanlah dalam dada semangat jiwa Pancasila. Hidup tiada mungkin tanpa perjuangan, tanpa pengorbanan. segala tantangan, mohon petunjuk yang kuasa. Ciptakanlah kerukunan bangsa, kobarkanlah dalam dada semangat jiwa Pancasila. Hidup tiada mungkin tanpa perjuangan, tanpa pengorbanan. Mulianya berpeganglah tangan satu dalam cita demi masa depan Indonesia Jaya.
Terima kasih. Terima kasih. Indonesia semakin jaya. Kita sama-sama ikut andil di dalam membuat Indonesia ini semakin jaya. Tahun ini we show Indonesia that this is Indonesia and the world, this is me.
I'm not a stranger to the dark. Right away they say we don't want your broken parts. I learned to be ashamed of all my scars. Run away, they say, no one will love you as you are. But I don't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest one gonna cut me down, gonna tend the flood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me, look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Oh, 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 yeah. Come on, you know, another round of bullet hits my skin. Fire away, 'cause today I won't let the shame sink in. We are bursting through the barricades, reaching for the sun. Yeah, yeah, that's what we've become. Won't let them break me down to dust. I know that there's a place for us, for we are glorious. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, gotta send the blood, gonna drown them out. I am brave, I am bruised, I am who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out, 'cause here I come. And I'm marching on to the beat I drum. I'm not scared to receive, I make no apologies. This is me. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 yeah. Oh, 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 oh. This is me. Whenever I'm down, I just look at the faces that surround me, and I feel love. When the sharpest words wanna cut me down, I gotta send the flood, gonna drown them out. This is brave, this is bruised, this is who I'm meant to be. This is me. Look out! 'Cause here I come. And
Thank you. Terima kasih. Saya ingin sekali kita mungkin bisa bernyanyi bersama karena medley yang berikut ini adalah medley lagu-lagu dari bukan Sabang sampai Merauke. I try to compile as much as I can because Indonesia consists of many islands. Tapi ini ada lagu-lagu dari pokoknya dari barat sampai ke timur. Semoga Anda bisa menyukainya dan bisa ikut bernyanyi.
Sik si batu manikam ni parjoget sorma di kotam ni namangingani si bambak jula jula si bambak jula jula. Si batu manikam di parjoget sorma di kotam ni namangingani si bambak jula jula si bambak jula jula. Cublak suwang ngiting gelentir mambu katundong gudel pak empong lerak lerek sokong guyung delek kaketir sirpong delek kopong sirpong delek kopong ampar pisangku belum masak sabi diurung bari manggalepok patah kayu bengkok dimakan apinya cancurupan rasa sayang lihat ampun dari jauh rasa sayang lihat ampun dari jauh rasa sayang hey. Jangir sing sere jangir sing sere jangir sere nyomanayori kelap nyandak bunga langsing lanjar pamulune nyandak gading saruang jadi mojangiran seriang mantu rarati hey yamko aronawa kombe hey yamko aronawa kombe no kibe kuba no kombe ko yuba no bumo awe ade no kibe kuba no kombe ko yuba no bumo awe ade honke riro honke jombe riro honke riro honke jombe riro
bersama-sama. Terima kasih. This song was made popular, dulu sangat-sangat terkenal oleh banyak sekali penyanyi. Kalau misalnya di dalamnya ada Stevie Wonder, terus ada Cyndi Lauper. Pokoknya ini adalah pesan untuk dunia bahwa kita harus selalu bergandengan tangan. Sekecil atau sebesar apapun porsi kita, but we do it dengan maksimal. Dan saya yakin Indonesia berkontribusi kepada dunia dengan porsinya semaksimal mungkin. So here is for the world. Bagaimana kalau kita coba dengan chorusnya dulu ya? Siapa tahu pada masih ingat. Hey, hey, hey. Bapak Ibu mau bernyanyi bersama saya? We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. It's saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. Can we sing it together? We are the world. We are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving. We're making, and we're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day, just you and me. Yeah, I can't really stand living every day that the world will soon come together as one. Oh, there are people dying, and you know it's time to give a hand to life, God's greatest gift of all. Now we can't go on living each every day. We gotta believe we'll soon make a chance. There are people dying, and it's really time to give a hand at life. You know love is all we need. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making. We're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. Go higher. We are the world. We are the children. We are the ones who make a better day. So let's start giving. Just you and me. One more time. Sama-sama. We are the world. We are. Yes, we are. We are the ones that make a better day. So let's start giving. There's a choice we're making, and we're saving our own lives. It's true, we'll make a better day. Just you and me. Come on,
and gentlemen, once again, can we have a big round of applause for Lea Simanjuntak. Thank you very much, Lea Simanjuntak, for the wonderful performance. And ladies and gentlemen, may I also add that Lea Simanjuntak is a very, very talented singer, and she was also awarded among the ones that I have mentioned before. For example, in 2019, she won the Anugerah Musik Indonesia Award for the category of Best Nasrani Spiritual Song Production Work. She also received a nomination as the Best Vocal Jazz Artist. And in 2021, or just last year, ladies and gentlemen, Lea Simanjuntak was also chosen to be one of the singers who enlivened the opening of the 20th National Sports Week, or PON, in Papua. Once again, can I have a big round of applause for Lea Simanjuntak? Thank you very much for your wonderful and mesmerizing voice, Lea Simanjuntak. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to almost the end of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum, Geomaritime, Chasing the Future of Global Stability. Therefore, we are now coming to the time to listen to the summary of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum, which will be presented by Dr. Randes Berlian Helmi, MEC, the Director for Ideological and Political Strategic Analysts at the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Mr. Berlian Helmi.
So, you know, I was amazed by the song sang by the Lea Simanjuntak, because there is one more key thin red line on the words and lyrics of the We Are the World. It's you know, it's just to make a better day just for you and me. It's one quite very pertinent to our theme on the global stability in uncertain dynamic geopolitics. So, well, I think it is a kind of the moral message from the our forum today, that the everything what we are stressing out by the song of the Ibu Mbak Lea Simanjuntak, there is something that is very interesting. We are attaching to our theme now. So, okay, so Mbak Lea, thank you so much. Let me start by the summary of our forum today. Vice Governor, Lieutenant General Sabar Fadilah, Deputy Principal General Secretary, Commissioner General Purwadi, and then Deputy for Strategic Study, Professor Reni Mayerni, and distinguished speakers, resource persons, and moderators. It is very interesting, and what we have now, having long been discussion during these 2 days forum, we have learned some important insight to take into consideration as a prominent issue relevant to our geopolitics in maritime sphere, which is becoming very important and very significant now. So I just want to stress out the importance of what we call as the real politics and contested world has already been coming, whereby geopolitics dynamic in maritime space tends to be a determinant factor of the global stability, as a power competition at recent times getting harder and harder. But the problem is now how we can navigate the global turbulence, and how could we absorb it and then transform it into our strategic stability, having responded through our forum during these 2 days. With me, I have some notes of idea and thought has been shared by resource person, speaker, in many diverse perspectives that would be recommendable. So in particular, in challenging maritime geopolitics. So by then, let me highlight therefore a couple of notes about the development of maritime geopolitics throughout the sessions from yesterday until now, today, in which some part which has been touching upon with the following stressing. Number one, a world system confronts global norms in hegemonic transition. So the world system is recently characterized by spatial interlinking hegemonic powers that dominates the defying global norms. Underlying rhythm of competition for accumulating power politics to a single hegemony would be inevitable things which would mislead our world system into derailed international order. Reinforcing the international rule base is very necessary, therefore, to conduct under common understanding and good governance at these terms. At this stage, from a world system perspective, the rise of China as a challenger to declining United States appears to mark the benign powered beginning of a new cyclical transition phase from one global hegemon to another. Secondly, the return of classical geopolitics with autonomous technology in expansive threats spectrum. Power dominance in military in the new Cold War between great powers in the mixed strategy by proxy over the others in the era of Geo5 on connectivity and supply chain. I think this would set aside of international framework for law and order as well as peace between countries and endangers the independence, sovereignty, and territorial integrity of all countries. More developed, larger, more advanced of China's technology is yet unacceptable to the US and its ally, which is still dominant military power. Nuclear capability will be cautious, calculated measure that may justify growing tension of power competition, spreading out its impact to other countries. No single narrative converged or standardized for such nuclear proliferation. For somewhat, it refers to considerable deterrence of active defense. It might have an even bigger equilibrium heading into dangerous directions. Once we subscribe to non-proliferation policy, too much of foreign policy seems to be making the case of proliferations. Thirdly, strategic competition for strategic hegemony. Maritime has been generated as a space of power competition between great powers. Excessive power projection would potentially be inevitable against opponents, rivals, competitors that may lead to extensive win-lose game. But it is a challenge we most of countries not fall into disorder or anarchy. The US-China rivalry would roll coast manipulative economic globalization terms that may blur one to another against each geopolitical backdrop. Yet, power competition between these two great powers may attract its derivative sphere of impacts to the regional hotspot where China, Taiwan, Korean Peninsula, South China Sea dispute in the constraint of geopolitical maneuver might have directed to endless fragmentation. It might have issues become difficult to resolve by then. Fourth, maritime connectivity disruption. Maritime sphere has become a rising spot of contemporary geopolitics. World connectivity through maritime, however, would be in fracture space as the flow of supply chain constrained by the discrepancy of engagement between diverse philosophical concepts under too risky threat of the US and China technology and economic competition. Strategic ambiguity of contrary connectivity context had made us difficult to link up that will defect global supply chain resilience. However, what we can do to discard all these things is to make sure that trusted supply chain should continue to work with functional cooperation. Fifth, convergence of maritime, digital, and outer space system. To correspond complexity of geopolitical dynamics, it is necessary to run at the same time for gaining stability by integrating maritime, digital, and outer space system of technology as a controlling instrument of geopolitics. It is critical for technological giant force of such integration in application to attempt advanced resolution of political conflict. Putting the way of such work could emerge a powerhouse of shared commitment to deliver for the needs of defense and security in an integrated digital world. 6, how about the ASEAN's role now? In the making of exclusive institutional regional balancing, ASEAN should be reinforced with the more cooperative security and more inclusive institutional balancing. As a liberal or constructivist model, ASEAN should emphasize more active dialogue and confidence-building measure on preventive diplomacy in resulting conflicts with peaceful means. ASEAN collective regional mechanism underlies the importance of cooperative security, not security against, but rather security with working in parallel universe, of which realism going contrary with constructivism. Yeah, and this is kind of, between Robert Keohane versus John Meisheimer. Number 7, complex interdependence. In the context of sustainable economic development processes, it needs trust that we can rely on one another for complex interdependence. The world is becoming increasingly interdependent in the digital information age. Underlying mechanisms and processes that facilitate contextual understanding of growing maritime geopolitical issue maintains the integrity of the assumption of complex interdependence, adding an understanding of the nature of content is along with sustainable development itself. Number 8, will it be possible to combine connectivity? The US Indo-Pacific Economic Framework and China Belt Roads Initiative in collaboration of Indonesian Global Maritime Forum will be a way to engage the region, not just on strategic or security potentially hostile basis, but on a win-win basis. But for this, it needs to have a given thought to steer a direction which does not lead to a hotspot conflict. Number 9, Geomaritim in geopolitical context. Geomaritime should not be framed in geopolitical context as long as there is a global new trend going forward to the development of mastery of military submarine technology. The strategy to counter such development becomes anti-access, anti-area denial strategy under multi-domain operation or MDO. This MDO was developed to ensure military maneuver are unbreakable, and this is the core of the MDO strategy. For Indonesia, however, relying on the anti-access area denial strategy must find a way to have a military that remains free of maneuver, or freedom of maneuver cannot be broken by any kind of system. Number 10, last but not least, an option for Indonesia against the uncertain future of global geomaritime dynamics. How is it? Indonesia should take a role in balancing power against China by strengthening diplomatic play without making any geopolitical risk. Indonesia's independence and active foreign policy doctrine will lead only to one policy, namely balancing, in which the doctrine cannot give another option of bargaining, only logical of balancing policy. Secondly, option for Indonesia is to strengthen ASEAN centrality. ASEAN mechanism should be pursued to rely on whereby conflict resolution needs processed through diplomatic dialogues. Third option will be focusing on low technical functional cooperation between countries, not on high politics, not in highly sensitive issue, but low politics, on technical functional cooperation. So ladies and gentlemen, this is all the summary, which includes some recommendation of our today's forum, which I'm deeply sure that all this summary will promote ways to enhance our global effort to achieve global peace and security, especially in the context of chasing global stability. And it will be an important milestone for global stability that is very inclusive, with a strong message as a guide for government to work. Thank you very much to resource persons, speakers, moderators for all your valuable contribution. And I think to all participants for your attention, your kind attention, and then tirelessly involved in taking part of our 2 days forum. So I hope in the next forum there will be a concrete development of implementation of all our deliberation. Once again, thank you so much. So we will see you all next year with the same opportunity that our GGF will continually with progressive implementation and dynamic results. So once again, thank you so much for your kind attention. So I back to Mbak Sarah for the next program. So thank you so much. Selamat siang.
Selamat siang. Thank you very much, Mr. Berlian Helmi, for the summary that is presented at the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2022. Thank you, sir. You may now return to your seat. And ladies and gentlemen, we will continue to our next agenda for our forum for today, where the moment has come for us together listen to the closing remarks of the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum, Geomaritime, Chasing the Future of Global Stability, which will be presented by Lieutenant General M.S. Fadila, the Vice Governor of the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia, on behalf of the Governor of the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome Lieutenant General M.S. Fadila.
First of all, I would like to apologize because the Governor is not here. And then I would like to apologize because I read the closing ceremony in Indonesian, in Bahasa Indonesia. Sambutan penutup Gubernur Lemhanas RI pada sesi penutupan Forum Geopolitik Jakarta ke-6, Kamis 25 Agustus 2022. Para pembicara dan hadirin sekalian, ibu-ibu dan bapak-bapak yang kami hormati, setelah mengikuti dan mencermati jalannya acara yang berlangsung 2 hari ini, banyak substansi dan konsepsi pemikiran strategis yang telah disampaikan oleh para narasumber. Forum Geopolitik Jakarta ke-6 ini telah menuju ke arah yang lebih baik, di mana kita bisa mencermati analisa serta pandangan tentang geopolitik dunia ke depan yang mengarah kepada pencarian keseimbangan baru, khususnya pada aspek maritim, di mana dunia sudah saatnya meminimalisir resiko konflik geopolitik yang sifatnya militer dan memaksimalkan kompetisi maupun kerjasama yang sehat untuk memanfaatkan maritim sebagai pusat konektivitas dan produktivitas perekonomian. Kerjasama tersebut tentunya perlu ditopang dengan kemajuan teknologi, optimalisasi energi yang ramah lingkungan, serta kesepahaman strategis saling pengertian antara pihak demi terciptanya stabilitas global yang berkelanjutan. Lemhanas RI sangat berterima kasih atas partisipasi pemikiran Bapak Ibu sekalian. Semoga Tuhan Yang Maha Kuasa merahmati dan melindungi kita semua. Demikian hal-hal yang dapat saya sampaikan. Akhirnya pada hari ini Kamis 25 Agustus 2022 pukul 12:10 Forum Geopolitik Jakarta ke-6 dengan tema Geomaritim, mengejar masa depan stabilitas global, saya nyatakan ditutup. Terima kasih. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Santi, 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 Om, Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Gubernur Lembaga Ketahanan Nasional Republik Indonesia, Andi Wijayanto. Terima kasih.
Terima kasih. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Thank you very much, the Vice Governor of the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia, for presenting the closing remarks on behalf of the Governor of the National Resilience Institute of the Republic of Indonesia. And now, ladies and gentlemen, we have come to the end of our two-day forum for today. May I have once again your round of applause for this wonderful event and also discussions. Terima kasih, thank you for your participations, ladies and gentlemen. But before we end our event and also our forum, let us together sing the national song, Bagimu Negeri. To all the audiences, you may rise. And lastly, ladies and gentlemen, we'd like to thank you for joining the 6th Jakarta Geopolitical Forum, Geomaritime, Chasing the Future of Global Stability. Once again, we'd like to thank you for your active participation and also for your wonderful insights and knowledge shared with us today. And we hope that after these 2 days, exploring the maritime-based geopolitics and also its global impact, we will get a better understanding of the contemporary geomaritime context that emerged the power to the upcoming geopolitical issues. And we will also be able to further strengthen, also structure a design of relations among geopolitical factors in achieving a balancing act that comes to global stability. Once again, may I have a wonderful round of applause for our wonderful participation and also your active participation, ladies and gentlemen. And last but not least, I, Sarah Wynn, would like to personally thank you as well, and I would like to bid you goodbye and hope we see you again at next year's Jakarta Geopolitical Forum 2023. Wassalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Shalom, Om Santi Santi, Om Namo Buddhaya, salam kebajikan. Selamat jumpa dan sampai jumpa.